Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. You host Noah Foster.
Who rise to the occasion on AEW Dark Elevation? Whose talent was brought to light on Tuesday nights on AEW Dark? What fallout from Full Gear exploded on AEW Dynamite? As chaos ensued and continued onto Rampage. All this and more will be discussed as we once again light a spark in all things All Elite Wrestling. Hello, everybody, and good evening. Welcome to another edition of AEW Spark. For those that don't know who I am the proprietary creator of this brand. My name is Noah Foster, and I am the Simple Man. With me, as always, is my All Elite cohort since day zero. We're talking about All In, the K-I-N-G, King Anthony A-Train, who is truly All Elite. My brother, how are you? This is the first time ever my original All Elite forum. We're together on this thing, too.
A long time, y'all. Some of y'all may know this duo. We used to be on Steve Fall's 10 count. Shout out to you, Steve Fall, for letting me have one with Noah as well. It's been a while since this duo has come together, but we are back once again on your platform. It feels good to be back on your platform, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, before I get into this thing any further, again, I created this to encourage people to take a chance on something different, open your mind, and come back to be a fan of professional wrestling, see if All Elite Wrestling has anything to offer you, hence the name AEW Spark, which is supposed to ignite the excite for AEW, Dynamite, and all other platforms too. So, without further ado, and subtle thank you to, of course, Owen, the Birdman Finch, and James Hebert of FTW Productions. They have been, of course, carrying this very well and will continue to for one night only. And so far, it's one night only. Let's get right into it because we got a lot to discuss. We are going to be going through the last 2 weeks of AEW content. Everything since the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. The fallout and more. We'll kick things off in simple fashion, bringing our results and highlights from the first of those 2 weeks, AEW Dark Elevation and AEW Dark, in that order. I want to give a shout out to the sources that I have in front of me to remind me of everything that occurred, including but not limited to Fightful, WrestleZone, PW Mania, and WrestleView. Go check out those forums, folks, if you want to get maybe your dose of wrestling news, along with No DQ. Anyway, AEW Dark Elevation, the first edition we'll talk about is, of course, November 21st, 2022. We had a total of 9 matches with a couple of segments that make us wonder, okay, this might be something to watch. As we've seen lately how Dark and Elevation kind of have their own little environment of storytelling for at least a couple of particular people. This edition, of course, started off with trios action as Roots with the Butcher and the Blade with Jose the Assistant. They defeated Doug Love, Kenny Thomas, and Brent Gosselin. Of course, Los Illuminados de Faction, they're, of course, trying to build things in AEW. Butcher and the Blade, they continue to bring forward their violence as always. They got paid full death. Wasn't much to really say here. Willow Nightingale, with her bubbly, unorthodox, wild energy, she tied alongside Hikaru Shida, and they defeated the duo of Leva Bates. People respect your librarians. And, of course, one half of the Killer Queens, always ready to rock, Emi Sakura, or Chop You, for those that, are fans without. I still wonder, why do you not have an air guitar? Just saying. Your stupid stooge was in singles action and got obliterated by Hubeda, the Machine, Brian Cage. But everybody still got, of course, their tie-dye, code spraying, fan and friend doing a tapping elbow drop. Not the wisest move. Tapping! That's as dumb as twerking in professional wrestling. There, I said it. But I digress. We also, of course, had the Jericho Appreciation Society, the epitome of excellence in sports, entertainment. I'm, of course, talking about Daniel Garcia, Cool Hand Angelo Parker, and Daddy Magic Matt Menard with Jake Hager, who likes his hat. In trios action, taking on Leo Ruffin, Tracy Williams, and Tony Deppen, a couple of names you know from Ring of Honor, one name you know particular from NXT. Yes, Leo Ruffin got tossed around like a rag doll. And your Miami Vice and Red Death trio, they of course came out victorious. We of course had finally back from injury. Of course, you want to talk about a true badass. How about the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, Mercedes Martinez? She defeated JC Storm. Nice, simple exhibition match to remind us, I'm back. Athena, you think you're bad? Don't underestimate me. You don't know the path for my journey. Athena, you're in for one hell of a fight at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Can't wait. Matt Hardy and Private Party, who are, of course, still being controlled by the firm. Bleh. And Ollie Goldman page on commentary. They took on Encore, Sunny Kiss, and Ari Daivari, where the Trustbusters, they lost profit. I'm sure Ari Daivari was not happy he lost all that in his trust fund. Too bad, so sad. But again, Hardy Party, as I like to sum it up simply, they have been really garnering momentum since coming back together as a trio. Might be a team to look out for if even Page doesn't wreck it first. Yet he's supposed to be coaching. Right. Alex Reynolds took on Kip Sabian in a great one-on-one expedition. Of course, Penelope Ford was in Kip Sabian's corner, the super bad duo. And while we embrace the change and still wonder why he talks to that box more awkwardly than what Johnny 2x4 used to do on Ed, Ed, Eddie with Plank, Alex Reynolds actually got the win here, and Kip Sabian was not very happy about it as he assaulted him afterwards. And then in our main event, of course, trios action continued. It was the Best Friends, the current AEW All-Atlantic Champion at the time, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy with Trip Beretta and the Kentucky Gentleman Chuck Taylor. They took on the trio of everybody's workhorses off the assembly line, the Factory. Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson, and Cole Carter with, of course, QT Marshall, keyword Marshall, in the corner with Nico Mulatto. As someone who is Italian, dude, you need to put more into this. Of course, the Best Friends got to get the people what they want, and they did just that. Continued the momentum from the AEW Full Gear buy-in, and ended with us getting what we wanted as fans. The Best Friends embracing and winning in the end. And that was that edition of AEW Dark Elevation. So again, the biggest thing to take away here, Mercedes Martinez is back and hasn't lost a step apparently, as Hardy Party tries to get back on their winning ways, back to the way things used to be, and Matt Hardy looks to absolve his past misdeeds. Ollie Page looks like he does not agree with their tactics and says that he's trying to coach them, trying to make them take things more seriously. Good luck with that. Leva Bates, do not underestimate her. Indie darling, no doubt, and a huge, huge part of the AEW backstage environment when it comes to making sure things actually are on point and scheduled. There's a reason why she was the second hand of Brandy Rose, for those that didn't know. And Alex Reynolds, to me, is a sleeper lately. He really has been showing out in these singles matches. He and Kip Sabian have great chemistry. So I kind of want to see more of these two individually, but I honestly wouldn't mind seeing these two in a longer-term feud. Maybe a bit of foreshadowing. Just saying. King, anything you have to say regarding that edition of AEW Dark Elevation? What was your biggest takeaway?
You know me, man. I don't watch Dark Elevation like that like I used to. It's too much wrestling.
Right, Brandon Cutler, if nothing else, is going to freaking be on your mind.
But of course, I did catch a little bit of that Cage and Cutler match. I did catch a little bit of that. Cutler, you my guy. Stop dabbing, please. That's no. No. Of course, you're dealing with Brian Cage too, and you that no. That's a math problem gone wrong. Dabbing plus machine equals destroy.
Simple as that. Well, if Prince Nana's happy, he's getting some money for the embassy. They may not have any gold, but again, Brian Cage, he's reminding us why, again, he is the friggin' machine. And I also got to appreciate Ian Riccaboni and what he brings forward Monday nights on Elevation commentary, too. I think it's a great improvement. As, of course, he sends us off by saying, happy wrestling, everybody, as always. At least Chris Jericho wasn't there to attack him. As far as Zero Pitch Society, yeah, the jury is still out on that. Just putting it out there. All right. Well, to simply talk about AEW Dark, where again you wonder what talents might come into light and might be ones to think about down the line. Again, this is the platform that exposed us to the likes of Daniel Garcia, Tiger Style, Lee Moriarty, of course, Big Shotty Lee Johnson, Kylan King, Sky Blue, just to name a few. This show, though, wasn't a whole lot. There, of course, Dasha Gonzalez was the ring announcer. We had the now marketed as the varsity athletes, Tori Nation and Josh Woods, demonstrated great in-ring chemistry. Pretty quick match against Rosario Grillo and Dean Alexander. At least he wasn't wearing that ridiculous fur coat. Emi Sakura, she gave us tea and chopped Tiara James. Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club took on Kevin Matthews. Zach Clayton reminded us what the reality is when he's on AEW Dark, and that is him winning. And I'm not talking about like Charlie Sheen. Winning. But yes, he defeated Chris Wilde. Jake Hager, do not mess with that man and his freaking hat. Jake Hager took on Bryce Donovan, and once the hat came into play, all bets were freaking off. Again, he really likes that hat. I don't think it's going to get over as a massive selling item on shopaew.com. Just saying. And then, of course, we have more of the Jericho Appreciation Society. As we have the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. Taking on, of course, Tracy Williams, Ring of Honor, getting the reps in. Jack Thomason and LSG. And Garcia made Thomason tap out to the Dragon Sleeper for the win. Not necessarily the regular full depth. And boy, the way he stretches that thing, your body is not supposed to contort that way. So, honestly, the only thing that really came to light, Jake Hager, again, he really likes his hat. We also know what this match is going to lead into when we talk about Dynamite, because, of course, Jake Hager, the following night, he was challenging a freshly squeezed champion. So I really don't have a lot to say here with that addition of Dark. It kind of was one of those things that's like, Dark is becoming shorter than Elevation, and literally it's like, okay, I'm watching wrestling. I'm just okay with this. Just saying. I'm totally okay. And I imagine that you were totally okay with it as well, because if nothing else, Remix Jones was definitely on point that night. Of course, Taz and Excalibur, they gave more pop culture humor than I think actual ring takes. Just saying. But hey, that's entertainment, right? Sports entertainment? You tell me. All right, let's go ahead and get to the real first point of this whole thing. As we talk about, again, the fallout from AEW Full Gear, and that was AEW Dynamite. And of all things, it was the holiday. The Thanksgiving Eve edition from all places. Chicago, Illinois, in the Wintrust Arena. And things kicked off immediately with the Builder Gem himself getting booed out the daggum building. William Regal, who talked about, would you like to hear from your new AEW World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman? Well, you will, but not till next week, as Mr. Friedman is right now on a Hollywood set, taking care of much more important business than dealing with you folks here in Chicago. However, I was in private communications with this young man a few weeks ahead of what happened at AEW Full Gear, and he will give you those details next week. And then a very, what's the word I'm looking for here? The bomb ready to go off, Jon Moxley, came to confront his lordship, William Regal. And I thought I was about to see something worse than what happened during the Valentine's Day Massacre. Thankfully, there was a voice of reason. One American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And who would have thought that Bryan Danielson, a man that loves violence, would play the sympathy card here, King?
Well, I mean, Danielson did give his own take. He's on his own words, saying like, if it wasn't for this man, Regal, he would not be where he is today. Meaning that is his best friend. And he even got down on his knees, begging to Moxley, don't hurt him. I love this man. Don't hurt him. And then Moxley was gritting his teeth, leaning on the apron, just biting his tongue, was willing to strike like a ticking time bomb. But he calmed down. And then Moxley told Regal, you better run. And don't you ever come back again. I kind of wonder, though, as we talk more into the following week, was those words he meant come to fruition?
Well, again, Bryan Danielson saved Rigo's life. We all know the health risks that Rigo has had. Again, the man literally has bolts in his neck and his brain literally juggles. I mean, one shot by John Moxley, especially to the head, could have been over for that man. So, again, subtle warning or final request was basically given by John Moxley, Shades of the Lion King, Scar and Simba. But he didn't run. He graciously walked away, thankfully under his own power. All right. Well, as we go on from there, again, as we talked about, Dark was, of course, building up the next challenger to the Freshly Squeezed champion. As Orange Cassidy, whatever, he defended the AEW Electric Championship against the Jericho Society's own Jake Hager. A fun little comedy match, because honestly, again, it was about pockets, purple bucket hat. Pockets, purple bucket hat. And then the outside parties, of course, had a melee. And yes, this did go through one versus card picture in picture, but again, Daniel Garcia made sure that nobody messed with Jake Hager's bucket hat. While Hager did wear the shades, Orange Cassidy tried to wear the hat, Daniel Garcia's like, no, you ain't gonna do that. And as this match basically showed how strong Jake Hager is, even under a comedy circumstance where it took an orange punch to rock the man but not beat him, just enough to disorientate him for the most dangerous move in wrestling, folks. Roll up pin, Orange Cassidy did escape with the title. But something else rised out of this when the factory said they had unfinished business after a very nice, very evil partner during the buy-in basically dropped QT Marshall where he stood. As the factory surrounded the ring, 5 against 4, they were not the biggest threats. As a presence returned back on the stage, I thought we were just having botched technical difficulty issues with the red lighting and stuff earlier. The Empress herself, Julia Hart, and that king could only have meant one thing.
House of Black, the House of Black.
And boy, did they. Destroyed everybody. Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Malachi back. Black and back. Black is back. I feel like that's a song by ACDC. Anyway, sorry. Back in full force, and they destroyed everybody. The Factory, the Best Friends, Rocky Romero, and of course, the AEW the Championship, Orange Cassidy. And why Stab and Enhancement Talent tried to, dissolve their chaos and violence and destruction. They didn't, as one of them suffered Dante's Inferno on the stage, as Julia Hart subtly smiled in approval and handed the mic to the man himself, Malachi Black. As you alluded to, King says, members of the House of Black, please rise. And boy, did they. Intentions yet unknown, but a force for all to definitely be well aware of. The House of Black is back. As Julia Hart subtly clapped, and boop, we were gone. So, of course, we'll have to see what's next. I thought that Malachi Black was maybe going to go after the AEW All-In Championships. He was involved in the inaugural 4-way at Forbidden Door, but maybe that's not the case. Because, again, tapped everybody. And it wasn't like he had his own agenda here. They all were on the same page. It felt more like, do you remember who we are? We're going to remind you at the expense of everybody else. What's their plan? What's the prime target? Time will tell. As we go from there, some video package for Jesus Almighty, the craziest steel cage match I've seen in a recent memory, as Jungle Boy Jet Perry reflects on the bloody, brutal, violent finale of storytelling with former friend, now rival, now his past, Luchasaurus, and why Christian Cage did hurt him emotionally, physically, and mentally. He did teach him something, but now Jungle Boy doesn't feel like a boy anymore. He feels like he has come into a whole new man. And we'll have to see what's next as he suddenly, thanked him. And he's glad that he was able to kick Luchasaurus' ass. Not much more to be said about that. And we go back to the Ring King. It was time for an absolute finale in the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament as All Eagle Ethan Page took on less than 100% absolute record stocks. And what I would think is a pretty good TV match for what the two were given. Again, Ethan Page, highly underrated, veteran of the game. And Ricky Starks, he is that rising guy. He doesn't say he's a pillar. He is just the now, and he is ready to show you why he deserves to be on your TV screens and deserves to be called one day AEW World Champion. What's your thoughts towards this match?
Either way, when you look at these two and how they've been booked in AEW, one was going to suffer that loss for the time being and will deserve that push at another time. As far as who I had going into this, I had Ricky, of course, because of course you got to tell a story with the new AEW World Champion and MJF and Ricky Starks, especially the promos you could think of with them two going back and forth, and you could just think of the segments it could possibly have. That tells the bigger picture. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can tell it with Ethan Page too because of MJF association with the firm with Stokely. You could tell a picture there too. But I feel like that'll be just, classic heel versus heel, even though AEW does not do predictable stuff like that. But the bigger story to tell is for basically Ricky Starks' test run to be a main event star with him going up against MJF at Winter is Coming. But overall, this was a very good match between Ethan and Ricky. Very good, solid TV match for what it was.
Yeah, and again, it did go through a commercial break. They got a fair amount of time. Ricky Starks, he was definitely the babyface, fine from underneath. He was less than 100% to being obliterated by the likes of Lance Archer and Brian Cage, making his way to All Eagle Ethan Page. Try saying that 3 times fast, folks. And All Eagle Page, he definitely worked the Riz and definitely controlled the power with his power and ego. Until at one point, he literally drove himself into the freaking ring post. Not the smartest move. Again, your own hubris being your downfall. This was the moment and the exploit that Ricky Starks needed to get back into this thing as he continued fighting out from underneath. We even got a rope-assisted DDT off a swinging neckbreaker combination. Ricky Starks was fired up, baby, but only got a 2 count out of that. And again, Ricky is gasping for freaking air as he tries to go for the Rochambeau. Of course, Ethan Page, he blocks that, but Page looked to try and end it, of course, with the Eagle's Edge, trying to send him to Canada. But a couple of nice high kicks, though, to counter out of that by Ricky Starks, even though he ate a couple kicks to the face. Ricky was able to avoid a clothesline as he tried to pick up speed, and at the end of the day, he drove him with that freaking spear, ridiculous spear, and that wasn't enough as he followed with a diving spear. And Ricky Starks is now your new #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. Ricky Starks won the tournament. Bruised ribs and all, gasping for breath. Again, a great showcasing for both men here, but again, you're really putting the light on Ricky Starks. You're putting a lot of promise into him, and this is going to be his biggest opportunity in his young wrestling career. And we'll see now what sort of program and storytelling you build into this for both Ricky Starks and MJF. The promo battle that could be ahead with these two. Let's freaking go. I mean, seriously, what else do I need to say? All right. As, of course, they made that announcement official, and for those that don't know, Winter is coming. Is not this week, Wednesday. It is next week, Wednesday, Dynamite in Garland, Texas, on December the 14th. And stay tuned for a watch-along live reaction, of course, here on FTW Productions by James Hebert for both Winter is Coming Dynamite and Winter is Coming Rampage. Who will show up out of the blizzard? We'll have to wait and see. As we move on from there, commentators, of course, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Again, it was Thanksgiving Eve as we feasted on a delight of professional wrestling before a feast of a different kind with families. All the food imaginable and the food coma galore. And then we go from there to, all right, I understand mainstream attention. Now, you're the rap, you're the hip-hop guy, you're the music aficionado. I trust you more than that with anybody I know in ATW. But, King, seriously, seriously, what is going on with Jade Cargill and Bow Wow at this meet and greet she crashed?
Okay, so Bow Wow has been trying to shoot his shot at Jade for multiple weeks on Twitter. But Jade keeps rejecting him every opportunity he has gotten. Even tweeted out a song from Drake and 21 Savage's album, Her Loss, with the song title Broke Boys. Meaning, in Jade's world, Bow Wow is a broke boy. So, That led to basically Bow Wow continuing to shoot his shot, and then Bow Wow insisting that Jade pull up to Rolling Loud Miami because Bow Wow thinks that Jade isn't all about that smoke, meaning that she would not pull up and get in his face like that. Well, truth be told, she did exactly just that.
Oh Lord.
And she went up to Bow Wow and was trying to start an altercation with Bow Wow until two of his security team got her, Layla Gray, and Red Velvet escorted out of the building, which it made TMZ outlet and the Shade Room outlet in the media world.
Uh, Publicity is everything, right? I don't really have much more to say. Okay, maybe this is how they bring a new female talent to challenge Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship.
Which we talk about when we talk about the following week, I put
Oh boy,
two and two together,
you're
but we'll
thinking.
talk more about. Yep, I went my thinking cap.
Yeah, you're thinking maybe a little bit hard there. Of course, they also ran down the remaining card tonight with a women's triple threat tag team match, and of course the main event. But so many other fallout was ahead, and this one, boy, I tell you, Chicago is no stranger when it comes to letting their voices be known, and particular people just using it to their own showcasing. But she's a face. Now, there's a particular reason why this guy wears that shirt, one of many, for a particular group that came in to probably the reaction they were expecting. But King, why don't you go ahead and talk about this next match? As of course we know at AEW Full Gear, after a hammer dinged Kenny Omega, courtesy of a physical woman in position and allowed to try to retain the Trios Championships. This is the first ever best of 7 series to crown the undisputed Trios champions. Match number 2, as we had the Death Triangle take on the Elites, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks in Chicago, Illinois. I don't think necessarily people were focusing on everything that was happening in the ring. Wouldn't you agree, King?
I agreed wholeheartedly, and that Wednesday I knew it. I wasn't worried. I knew this was going to happen because for one, it's Chicago. It's a top 3, top 5 wrestling city of all time. Those fans over there in Chicago will let their voices be heard. They will be expressive about it. They will be passionate about who they say, who they cheer for, who they boo for. Because if I can think of any city that can keep up with wrestling news or anything in that field, it's Chicago. They keep up to date on everything, especially when it comes to their hometown hero, Mr. Phil. But when they came out to Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas, ooh, the heat, the boos were almost at a nuclear level to where it almost got up to Montreal type levels. Almost. I expected it and I knew it was coming. But
Yeah.
also later on down the match, it was kind of split 50-50. Like they were cheering and then they were booing because when it comes to these 6 men, whether you hate the Elite, whether you love the Elite, you can't deny the fact when you have the Elite and the Death Triangle, meaning when you have Pac and Kenny Omega, the Lucha Brothers, and the Young Bucks in the same ring, they're going to create magic together in that ring. And that gave us no surprise whatsoever until later on down the match where Matt thought he had the match won. Here comes Penta from the outside while Matt was licking the hammer. Matt, why were you licking the hammer while the ref was down and then you summoned Penta to clock you in the back of the head? And they got the 1, 2, 3. But I hoped he learned his lesson because we were now down 0-2 to where I felt like this is going to be the 2016 NBA Finals between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, to where the dead triangle in this case are the Golden State Warriors, and the elite were LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because I guess in no team in NBA AEW history has come down from an 0-2 deficit. And that's what we were about to go, and that's what we were settled with. Down 0-2 because Matt decided to let one slip up of that hammer, which I don't understand the reason why he had to lick the hammer in the first place. What was all the licking for? Because that just gave Penta enough to. Yeah, we're down 0-2. Yeah.
The coach is upset. Don Callis apoplectic on the commentary table, and Brandon Cutler, the one that introduced the hammer. But again, you reap what you sow. I understand, trying to play their own game. Again, it was Ray Phoenix that brain Kenny Omega. Now Penta brain Matt Jackson. I was like, huh. So there's one member now of the Death Triangle yet to brain one remaining member of the Elite. We have a repeat in the finishing sequence or the necessity towards the finish. But again, the whole match took a different identity. Like you said, the crowd was heated, and they let their voices be known, but towards the way, it was 50-50. But the subtle actions of the Elite, from a botched buckshot to biting of an arm to literally pelvic thrusting a particular chant, there was definitely a lot of energy towards this match. Negative or positive, I'll let you decide which one was more. But also great action, too. I love the fact that literally Kenny Omega confronted Ray Phoenix immediately, because Ray Phoenix right now, he still feels a bit like, why I did this, I shouldn't do this. Yes, still champions, but this goes against my merit. We are better than this. Plus, he wasn't aware at the end of the match, Penta did that. But afterwards, when he found out, he confronted his brother. Remember, Lucha Brothers, Ray Phoenix and Penta Skill, aka Penta Ceramiero, they are brothers, blood brothers. Ray, of course, being the younger one, Penta being the older, like Nick being the younger one and Matt being the older. That's why Nick and Ray Phoenix work so well together. You saw that during this match during several points here. At one point, a Terminator dive was countered by a crazy cutter. Then Matt off the top rope with a moonsault to Penta and Phoenix. Lucha Brothers will wipe out. They tried isolating Pac, who was, of course, wearing a protective face mask, because apparently his nose got busted up at AEW Full Gear, and the Elite also exploited that, removing it. Triple BTE trigger, but still not enough. I'm surprised your boys didn't win it right there. And yes, this also went through restaurant quality, picture-in-picture. We had some ridiculous Cazadores into a DDT on the Bucks. Escalera with the Bucks flying over, wiping out everybody. Buys him the floor more than the song by Savage for, you remember that ECW pay-per-view, I'm sure, folks. And in the end, Kenny Omega, he goes for the V-trigger. Again, the most ridiculous high-velocity knee strike in the professional wrestling industry. He hits it, goes for the one-wing angel on Pac, but Pac was able to sub out. Because again, when that gets hit, no one kicks out of it. But apparently, they can't kick out of Kenny Omega's version of the GTS. That was definitely the moment of the match for me that I'm like, he freaking went there. Imagine if that actually won them. But it didn't. Like you said, eventually everybody got wiped out. Brandon Cutler, he tried to come into play. We saw what happened in the end. Your boys fell short again. Well, that was a wild six-person melee. And also, Taz, he ribs him from the commentary. Because Don, again, he is apoplectic. We got to get our act together here, boys. Don, you're the visible hand, but maybe you need to come literally in with a plan. Take the strings off. All right. As we move on from there, Renee Paquette is on stage, and she has an announcement regarding the status of the AEW Interim Women's World Championship. As La Mera Thunder Rosa, Tony Khan, AEW have come to a mutual agreement that Thunder Rosa would relinquish the title, thus now naming Jamie Hayter the AEW Women's World Champion, and also acknowledging Toni Storm, hell of a run, as a true AEW Women's World Champion. As we are going to get words from the champion regarding this decision, corporate decision, and also the idea of interim, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, once again reassured us that that was never in their vocabulary. And again, Jamie Hayter, she and Britt are about to show you why they are the duo in All Elite Wrestling. So now you just stand there and look pretty. As we went to triple threat tag team, good grief, that's a lot of T's. Tag team action with the women's division. 3 teams of 2. We have the Jericho Society's Ty J, AS. I hate that. Willow Nightingale and Chicago's own Sky Blue, and of course, Thunderbreaker DMD and Jamie Hayter. And again, yes, it was in that typical spot. Don't remind me. But all 6 women here, they got a chance to show what they were capable of. What I really enjoyed about this match was the fact that Chicago's own Sky Blue, who might I add still is not officially All Elite, where's her damn graphic? She was able to shine in her hometown, but she was also the one to eat the fall too. As at one point, Willow and Sky Blue were non-factors as Ty JAS, that is a mouthful. They were confronted by Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter, of course, she was the power factor in this match. Bar none, until Willow literally pounced one half of Anna JAS to the outside of the ring. Not much to say right here, as Britt does get the hot tag off of Jamie Hayter's Batbreaker, even though Sky Blue came very close, getting a code red on Ty Mello. And there was a kick party of its own right here, as all 6 women kicked each other out of submission. Good grief, King. But in the end, Baker, she comes in with the stomp on Sky Blue after Jamie Hayter set her up with the, what do you call it, hate breaker? I gotta learn the move. I gotta learn the names of actual Jamie Hayter's moves now, because Curtis Excalibur actually put Jamie Hayter's name into the moves. Whether or not that's true or not, you tell me. But Thunderbreaker DMD and Jamie Hayter, they roll on strong, get into 1, 2, 3, with Sky Blue being the fall person. Damn it. So here's my thing about this, King. We talk about the AEW Women's Division. We talk about how AEW Full Gear for us kind of feels like a reset point. In a way, it really does. A lot of things were settled. New champions, new storylines. With Jamie Hayter and Dynamite Baker still at the forefront of the Women's Division. But according to the Media Scrum, Jamie Hayter would welcome Britt coming after her as a rival. You see the subtle nods, you see the subtle mannerisms, you see the fact that the advocate, manager, best friend, speaks on behalf or for the champion or always is by her side. Maybe I'm looking too much into this, but I think I know where we're going further down the line, if not sooner, on Dynamite. But good showing by all 6.
Very good show by all 6 women. You can tell that the women's division is slowly improving ever since Saraya came on first aboard to AEW. Like, it's like you notice the subtle changes, you notice the storylines, you notice the improvements. And of course, we're going back, which it needs to. I'm glad they're finally, hopefully, going to pull the trigger on this with Jamie and Britt, because that's a story that's been months in the making that needs to be told, literally, because there were cracks back at All Out when the cracks started to show, but then they mend those cracks the following week. Now, Jamie Hayter saying that I would like to involve Britt in this and have her as a rival. Jamie still doesn't do the DMD thing. Even before she was champ, she still doesn't do the DMD thing.
Hasn't done
But
it once.
and of course, never once. And then of course, Britt speaking for Jamie, and I'm like, Jamie's the champ. Shouldn't she speak first? But you can honestly tell where this is going, and it's about time they pull the trigger on this. Let's do it.
I've been waiting for the longest time to see Jamie Hayter take the head off the doctor. Give me the lariat. Or the hate maker, whatever you call it. Hate maker, actually, that's a good name. All right. Well, as we move on from there, we go backstage where we learn about the top guys have respect for Top Flight. But Top Flight, they also have eyes on the prize, particularly the Ring of Honor with Tag Team Championships. In a subtle face-to-face backstage segment, FTR accepts. And a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match was made official for AEW Rampage on Black Friday. That was a special start time of 4 p.m. Never do that again.
No.
Please. I
No.
digress. But it's a dream match to fight them. So either way, it was going to be good for both sides. After we go back down to the ring, Wednesdays stand for one thing in particular, and that is the Acclaimed. Because, yo, listen, the Acclaimed arrive. And, of course, Max Caster with all the subtle Don DeMarco takeaways in Chicago, of all places. Still, the AEW Tag Team Champions overcoming Swerve in Our Glory that fell apart before our very eyes. Still yet to be determined what happened from that fallout. We go down to the ring, and basically they have a big old scissor chant break out because everybody loves the Acclaim, but also everybody loves scissoring. You take that for what you will. But as we learn that Billy Gunn can finally scissor again, and Anthony Bowens was about to scissor Daddy Ass, I guess I can say that on here, of all people to basically show up on the Titantron because of a subtle name drop, Double J and J. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. God help us. And basically, they said that they better watch their mouths because we'll remind you what we're about. But thankfully, Billy Gunn still has some slack. Why is he not EVP? Just saying. As he said, get that old ass off my screen. I still have some pull. And then the moment you wait for, Chicago, scissor me, daddy ass, and it got weird, as it usually does with the Acclaim. Okay, so that was subtly entertaining. As of course, Excalibur, I swear, the guy does not know how to take a breath. Then again, sometimes neither do I. I think that's just a bad habit. He gives us the rundown, which for once was not fully loaded for AEW Rampage Black Friday, as of course we'll talk about here in a moment. But also, of course, next week, we learned that MJF will be back, and he will talk about, of course, him beating Jon Moxley and now being the AEW World Championship, among other things. But as we go back from commercial, it was time for our main event as the Ocho, Chris Jericho, defended the Ring of Honor World Championship against a guy he's known for 25 years and looked to make him look like a young boy. There was nothing young about this match. Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. Take it away, King, because all I gotta say, that's professional wrestling. That's Stone Pit Bull wrestling. Jesus.
That was Japanese strong style. That was New Japan Pro Wrestling. That what we saw on that Wednesday, because Ishii literally chopped this man's chest open to where it was bleeding out of a chest, to where I don't think I've ever seen anybody's chest from a chop or chops bleed out that fast. And if you want Japanese strong style for your Wednesday night, this was exactly it with Jericho and Ishii. This was brutal. This was violent. This was however you want to describe it. But in the end, Jericho made Ishii pass out. What was it? Did he tap him out? Because I remember Ishii gave him a middle finger, tell him he's number one. And then he tapped out.
He tapped out to the Lion Tamer after Chris Jericho further wrenched back on the already worked over legs of Ishii after already compressing the man's neck and vertebrae on the apron with an implant DDT. Yeesh.
Yeah. But, Ishii was like, being a savage to Jericho by saying, you know what? Yeah, you ain't number one. Screw you. I'm going to tap out anyway because I don't think I can hold on to this much longer.
I don't think Jericho could, baka. And again, 80% of this match, it was nothing but freaking chops. That is what is so great about Tomohiro Ishii and why I feel he's so underrated. But that goes to his longevity. At one point, the man you thought he was exhausted and Chris Jericho follows up with a lion salt. Ishii kicks out at 1. That's the type of suspension of disbelief and the tank of conditioning that Tomohiro Ishii brings to the ring. Again, you're going to beat this guy. You got to try and kill him. That's the Stone Pit Bull mentality. Chris Jericho learned that the hard way. But also, to Chris Jericho's credit, he won fair and square, King. That's the second match in a row defending the Ocho that Chris Jericho won without any shenanigans or any assistance. And why we still question this Ring of Jericho era, besmirching the legacy of the Ring of Honor World Championship as he looked to go after Ian Riccaboni after the match when, again, Ishii came that close. Another ghost of Jericho's past, and the reason we have the Ocho to begin with, confronted him by dropping him with a slap to the face. Blackpool Combat Club's own Claudio Castagnoli. And I was like, oh, here we go. Ring of Honor Final Battle. I can see where this is going. Just saying. Anyway, that was your AEW Dynamite fallout from Full Gear. And I gotta be honest here. I thought the fallout gave more than the go home into the pay-per-view. It took maybe Rampage and Dynamite combined and the countdown to really bring the go-home together, but as far as Dynamite itself before the pay-per-view, I didn't think it hit all the notes for the go-home, especially the firm ending. Bleh. But yeah, I feel like there was a lot of renewed spirit, maybe not all positive, during this episode in particular, King. I thought this was a good rebound from their pay-per-view to kind of give us an idea of what they are setting up for towards Winter is Coming, New Year's Smash, and maybe even Revolution.
This was a very, very good. That was a very good episode that we witnessed there because I the go home show. It was the firm ending that kind of took the spirit out of all that. I was just like, it is what it is. I'm still looking forward to Saturday, and then bounce back from it on Wednesday. It felt refreshed. Like we're really on the right track to where we need to be to get ready for this holiday season of AEW with, like you said, winter is coming, holiday bash, New Year's smash coming up in the next few weeks. So this was a very nice getting back on track of where it should be. With the women's division having its own storylines, we having a new number one contender for MJF for the title at Winter is Coming. We also get the best of 7 still, not this week, folks, next week in Garland because they're taking a 1 week break on this one, I believe. So, but yeah, it was a very good. It felt good to be back on track.
Yeah, and again, Ishii, I mean, these two, they lariated each other, they German suplex each other. Ishii hit a freaking sheer drop brainbuster at one point, but not the vertical drop brainbuster. Oh, actually, it was Jericho. Again, Ishii, one of the most underrated wrestlers this year. That's what I truly believe, especially after he got effed over at Wrestle Kingdom, but I'm not going to go
Oh
there.
yes, no.
From the worst start to probably the best second half outside New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just saying. Even in defeat. All right, as we move on from there, it was Black Friday. You know what that means. It was Rampage at a special start time due to hockey, and I'm sure everyone was out shopping. But that's a non-factor. AEW Rampage was on the air, still from the Wintrust Arena, and we started off with a match that's the definition of flips versus fists. As the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions was on the line, FTR defended against Top Flight. So good, by the way, to see Darius Martin back, by the way. And again, King, it literally was Aerial versus Brawler. Because as Top Flight picked up the speed and definitely outweighed them in agility, they came close a couple of times, it seemed, but then Jacksonville knocked one of their lights out to the point we thought one of them was injured. Yeesh, this team
Which
can't
was
catch a freaking
Dante.
break. Yeah, the first Darius and then Dante. We're just going to switch back and forth. But thankfully, folks, as far as we know, nothing major. But yeah, there was still that urgent sense, to say the least. Some crazy spots. Of course, you had the springboard off the top rope, the hang time of Dante Martin. Seriously, you could capture it in a photo. Double Hurricane Rana, several near falls on both sides here. A little bit of a technical side by FTR, of course, but FTR, they finally catch one of these two in the big rig and literally catch blind tags as Dante misses the double springboard, moonsault, the nosedive. Yep. And FTR retains. So again, it was what it was. I didn't see Top Flight winning, but again, it gets FTR to show why they are 7-star. Should be 8-star, just saying. And they might be sooner rather than later. But also, it's good for Top Flight to be back in in-ring action very quickly as a tag team. But the Dante thing definitely had me worried, to say the least.
Yeah, like it was like you said, it is for what it was. I mean, very solid. Not like I would say tag team cinema or anything like that, but it was very solid with Top Flight and FTR. And I knew FTR was going to win it because basically they're FTR, and I have a feeling. And next week, I don't know. Maybe Tony, you haven't booked the DQ finish in a while. I'm just saying, but yeah, very very
Yeah.
solid Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match. It was this kickoff Black Friday Rampage. Don't ever put it at the time slot of 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern ever again.
Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. I'm glad I remembered. As we go from there, it was time to honor the Ocho, Chris Jericho. How is his chest patched up? I'll never know. As Chris Jericho came out and was celebrated, still being the Ring of Honor World Champion, of course, the Ocho. But also he talked about how it seems that nobody can beat me. Who is going to unseat me? Claudio Castagnoli comes out and says that I can't get it out of my head. I know I'm better than you, and I can't beat you if given the chance, 1-on-1. So I just need one more shot for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Despite the fact Claudio Castagnoli not only got pinned by Chris Jericho at Grand Slam, he got pinned at Full Gear. How fitting of a name for a pay-per-view, as this will be the final battle. That determines also if Claudio Castagnoli is champion of professional wrestling or defeated to become a sports entertainer. After Jake Hager tried to encourage him to be part of Judgment Society a few weeks ago, Matt Menard laid the offer out there, and apparently it made Chris Jericho's nipples hard too. Okay, TMI. But yeah, the match was made official. It will be Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho. 2, technically 1-on-1, for the Ring of Honor World Championship. But if Claudio Castagnoli loses, he joins the Jericho Appreciation Society. Oh boy.
I don't know how I feel about that
You and me both.
because Claudio being back in a category in a similar field when he was over there in the other company, but
Right?
implemented here. When you do the predictions for ROH for that final battle next week, that's the pick toward that's the match where I'm basically going to think long and hard about, because I don't want to see Claudio in that situation, because that just means you have nothing else for Claudio to do but to join another group. That's what I don't want, because we're already seeing the BCC implode as we speak.
Yes.
So I want Claudio to be on his own man. I don't want him to be in another faction. Let him be him, and basically that's why I'm giving an early prediction now.
Go for it.
Claudio beats Jericho, because that's the night we're finally going to get that announcement when it comes to the future of Ring of Honor, when it comes to television. That's when we'll have that announcement next week.
I truly hope you're right. And stay tuned, folks, for my Siplo YouTube channel as part of Doing Productions on Simply Predicting. There will be a double feature. We will be fully previewing and predicting not only Ring of Honor Final Battle, but NXT Deadline. So stay tuned for more details on that.
Oh yeah, that is next week too.
The same day, back to back. And probably will overlap. Damn it. But I digress. All right, as we move on from there, the Workhorsemen were in singles action as we had a bit of a Defy rivalry renewed. Of course, Defy, supported by wrestling folks. Darby Allin took on Anthony Henry 1-on-1. And Anthony Henry, he had a pretty good show in here. He literally ragdolled Darby Allin at one point with the assist of course, JD Drake, until Sting, of course, came into play. And basically, he was the difference maker. Darby Allin, of course, he took a lot of punishment because, again, this is what Darby Allin puts himself through. I don't know why. I wish he would stop doing that less, because I feel his body will go further. I don't care if you think you're only human 50%. Just saying. Especially after a ridiculous inverted Tower of London daggum. I thought Darby Allin was freaking dead to rights there. Eventually, though, after a superplex into a scorpion death drop. Yeah, we know who encourages him. Coffin drop later, Darby Allin wins. Not much more to say here. Darby Allin, of course, he's on the rebound. He and Sting, they're looking strong after being the team of Double J and J. And hopefully, again, that was just something that's now completely in the past. And I do think the Workhorsemen have great potential as a tag team. But this was a good single showing for Anthony Henry. But also, I feel like it finally gave some clarity towards maybe the fogged up history lately in AEW for Darby Allin. This was out of nowhere. It's a weird exhibition. It was like Darby Allin was trying to get back on tracks, regather his focus for something bigger. What did you say?
It really was. It's like he's trying to get, all of his past, get rid of that so he can focus on moving, to getting a certain title he wants back.
He did make a promise a long time ago that he said he would go after that and be that champion one day again. It's the only title that matters to him. But I digress, and we'll see if he finally makes that intention known when we go into next week. As we move on from there, Athena, again, this fallen god's a whole new level of attitude. Eat your heart out, baddie. Basically, she's back from temporary suspension after co-cocking Aubrey Edwards and getting fined. Aubrey taking a bump in AEW. Gasp. But slowly she said, okay, I'm sorry. I took the dot payment, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm back now. Now that's in the past. Mercedes Martinez, I'm challenging you for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Yeah, boy. This is going to be interesting to see what Mercedes' rebuttal very well could be. And I don't just mean verbally. But hopefully Athena learned you don't hit a referee. Especially Aubrey. Just saying. Talk about a way to get heat, though. Okay. I mean, come on now. Seriously. Aubrey Edwards. No. Although some people are like, about time someone probably hit her. You cruel people. Respect the zebras. All right. As we move on from there, it was back to singles action as the current Regina D Wave champion and one half of Ribbon Tag Team champions. The Warrior, Hikaru Shida, she took on Queen Aminata in a very short single exhibition here. Literally, it was the definition of squash. As again, quick chance run by Queen Aminata until she got caught with a Falcon Arrow that didn't quite do the deal, but the Katana follow-up did. What's more interesting, though, was a certain scouting party that made their presence be known. It won Penelope Ford and the Bunny.
Scouting party. Yeah, that ain't no scouting party. They have no business being out there on Rampage. And you want to call it a scouting party. Yeah.
I mean, she's back. Look, they're both back from injury. And the Bunny, she wants competition, right? So what do? If you don't get booked for it, you force it. Why not go after a former AEW Women's World Champion? I think it's a bold move, but more importantly, it adds more depth to the AEW Women's roster. And the Bunny is highly underrated and underbooked. So I'm looking forward to this program because I don't know if you remember, King, but this time last year that led into the new year, it was the Bunny that took the show at New Year's Smash in a ridiculous tag team street fight clash. Just saying.
It was. You're right.
All right. Meanwhile, we get our typical picture inside, opponent, challenger, side by side here to hype up our main event. It was a trios match as Los Faction Ingobernables, Roosh with the Butcher and the Blade, BBB for life. They took on the trio, of course, of the Dark Order. I'm, of course, talking about Johnny Hungee, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Wait.
Ooh.
Where is 10? I don't see him. Well, it looks like there's enough talk. By the way, about time I actually get some words and intensity from Butcher and the Blade. They're not just action. They actually can demonstrate a personality. Blade was ready to go. As Ruth says, I'm done talking. I want to fight. It was time for the main event. King, this main event was a handicap match. But apparently, Black Friday, we also know this day is about deals. Well, I guess you could say a certain dark deal was made by the end of this thing. Take it away.
Once you'll run by the play-by-play later, I'm going to go straight into the deal that was made. The deal that was made was that a certain muscle, that the late, great Brody Lee recruited, has turned his back on the Dark Order. Yes, folks, I'm talking about no longer 10. He's going by, of course, Preston Vance. That has left -1 Brody Lee Jr. on the rampway, crying his eyes out, sad, disappointed, as Preston gave Brody the mask. And I'm like, dude, seriously? You and -1 were this close. Y'all were tight at the hip. and you want to do this? Really? Like I think I was talking to some of the members of the AEW family. The Dark Order, what do you do with them now? You just got Uno, Reynolds, and Silver. That's it. Colt is doing Ring of Honor stuff. 5 is an Impact. Stu, who knows where his whereabouts is at? Ever since that one-off appearance, well, one-off return, I should say, in Canada.
Hey.
And now Preston. Just like the BCC, I think the Dark Order is in that same trajectory.
It's a fair take. But again, I feel like you, among others, also said that the problem with the AEW ecosystem, they have too many factions.
I'm never
You're
to
seeing
say
two of them
that.
diminish right before your eyes.
I've never have said that. It don't matter to me about factions
Me
because
neither.
we watch New Japan. So there's factions still going on. There's factions always over there.
Yeah, and United Empire became a faction of its own literally within the last 2 years. But I digress. But yeah, for what this was, it was more about the story. And again, subtle storytelling. You saw the last time that Johnny Hungy and Preston Vance stood side by side against Roos and Jose backstage. As Johnny said, the two of us will beat you two of you anytime. Preston's like,
Who's we?
the two of us. Preston's been thinking. But again, this was pretty short and simple. Dark Order had the early advantage, especially when Johnny Hungy got the hot tag and exploded around the freaking ringside area. But Los Factions and Monopolies, they took advantage, isolated Johnny Hungy for a large portion of this match till the hot tag done to Alex Reynolds, who again tried to foul the blocks but couldn't because, again, numbers were also bunny at ringside came into play. Also, the numbers were just not in their favor. Dark Order not having the numbers. Man, that just sounds weird in saying it. Eventually, Evil Uno, he had enough, and Evil Uno -1, they literally called out to Preston Vance 10 to come out to the stage and help his team. And as it looked like he was going to confront Roosh, he turns around and wipes freaking Silver out. And Roosh gets the freaking win with the Bull's horns. And then post-match, the violence, the destruction of the Dark Order continued by basically Los Faction, Eagle Monopolies, Butcher the Blade, and the Bunny laughing maniacally, having a good time. Meanwhile, they rip Evil Uno's mask off, and nearly 10 choke slams Alex Reynolds through the freaking table, and walks away. And as you said, he looked at the kid, he took off the mask, he gave it to him, he walked away. He stood dejected. And Ty Metal even counseled him afterwards too. Via Twitter.
Yeah, I forgot about Anna J and Ty. I forgot about this. Yeah.
I guess sports entertainers still don't forget their family, but still, Dark Order destroyed and a dark deal made on Black Friday. It was an interesting ending, to say the least, on what kind of felt like a bit of a underwhelming
Yeah.
AEW Rampage, which I expected. One,
Yeah.
it was after Thanksgiving. Nobody wanted to truly work. Let's just be honest here. Two, between sports and food and shopping, you weren't going to have that same type of draw, and especially in the time slot you were dealing with hockey. But where you might have lacked for a lot of it, you made up for in the end, and you teased a couple of things too, including particularly what else might be ahead for the women's division, and is the Dark Order done in AEW? They did say Dark Order is forever, but truly, can this trio stay together, let alone stand together? I don't know, man. Again, they've lost a lot of power. They've lost the numbers, and they just lost the biggest muscle they had since Brody Lee brought him into the family. So, weird times for the Dark Order indeed, but a decent rampage to say the least.
Very decent rampage with a very interesting ending that I seen it coming, but it's just I didn't expect it to be this soon.
Right. I was like, okay, where do you really like do this? Like, what is the? I thought it was going to literally be John Silver and Preston and tag action together versus Roosh and Jose are a member of Butcher and Blade, or even Angelico, if he still rides along with them too. I did not expect this to happen on Black Friday, especially because, again, I don't think it got the viewership that it rightfully deserved, because that was a moment. Why it was a
It
bigger moment than
was.
most Rampages, you kind of did at a weird time where you didn't get the largest audience. Just
Nope.
saying. That's just my take. All right. As we move into the following week to bring you all up to speed, I'm of course going to now take you to November 28th for AEW Dark Elevation. And this one was really simple as we welcome the newly All Elite signed Konosuke Takeshita, who was in singles action and wiped out Ari Davari. Jeez, oh beast. I will give Ari Davari credit though, pretty game fight brought by him, but interesting scouting party along the entranceway. Don Callis. Now, King, you know as well as I do the connection with Konosuke Takeshita and one Kenny by God Omega. We also know the connection, of course, with one Don Callis and Kenny Omega. Now, I'm just saying, but there might be some subtle foreshadowing here. We'll talk more about that once I finish the rest of these matches. Athena decked Laney Luck before she could even get out of the gates. This was just sad. I really wanted to see Laney Luck try and bring it. She got clocked. She got one good shot, and then Athena nearly KO'd her and continued the post-match assault, stretching her, again, pushing the boundaries between suspension and a fine. Again, watch yourself. Move on from there. You get the best friends of Rock Ramirez and Trios against Davey Bang, Freedom Ramsey, and Yabo. I'm just going to say this for the record. Chris Jericho hates mascots. I hate clowns! But I digress. And Kings and Ortiz, they were in tag team action. They took on the Factory, beat Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado. These two continued their momentum together as a tag team. Of course, Eddie Kingston had a great match against Jun Akiyama during the buy-in in what I feel like was a real, humble experience for him. Definitely woke him up. And Ortiz, of course, did his hip swivel. So you go along with that as you wish. Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh defeated Joe Lonzo and GPA. And what I have to say is the scariest tag finisher I've ever seen in my life. Pop up, electric chair, 10-foot drop, choke slam. Good God, if he would have felt a little bit further back, could have crushed the man's neck. That was scary. That's like falling off a freaking building. That was scary. Okay? That was
I seen the
ridiculous.
highlight of that. I seen that.
Okay, Satnam, I know what you're capable of. Jeez. Jay Lethal, you didn't have to plunge the man 3 feet extra in the air. What the hell were you thinking? I don't know if I'm going to make that a constant thing. That was crazy. Just saying. And I watched Stardom. That was crazy. All right. As we move on from there, your stupid stooge did his dumb shenanigans again, but he got the win. Brandon Cutler got a singles win over Man Scout, who, of course, had his book with him.
Yeah, he had a book.
Folks. A book on Boy Scouting. I mean, you're really surprised. I'm just saying because it's a gimmick. Okay. As we go from there, Lee Moriarty defeated Robert Anthony. Of course, Tiger Style trying to bounce back, remind you that he can hang with the best. Don't count him out. We, of course, had the Bunny. Yeah, she was back finally in in-ring action. Shut it, King! She was, of course, back in in-ring action against the, what is it called? Russian Black Widow, Blair Onyx. But considering that the Bunny once coincided with a demon, I don't think a spider walk would really scare her, especially when Allie is the biggest fan of horror. Down the rabbit hole, the spider goes. The bunny wins. Then, of course, skips around the ring as Penelope Ford was also with her. I'm so damn happy to see this duo back in AEW. Just saying. Also, we had the Beast of Burden in action as Nyla Rose and Mia Shafir, who now has adopted more of a judo stance. Barefoot, like Judgment at Bloodsport type action, it seems. Against the duo, I never thought I'd see these two together. Emi Sakura and not Mai Saruga, but Kawai. Maki Ito. And I don't think Emi Sakura is a fan of her performance. And personally, I think Taiji's better, just saying. But, these two had some pretty good, I went there. Yeah, all hail the Holy Emperor. These two had some pretty good tag team chemistry. We even had tea time and a nice little selfie. We also had Kokeshi, which of course makes people happy. But Maki Ito outslated on the outside Maria Shafir and Nyla Rose, planting Emi Sakura in the middle of the ring with a beast bomb. The Beast of Burdens with the victory. So good for them. We'll see what that leads to. Especially if Nyla Rose fell short against that B for the TBS Championship at AEW Full Gear. Just saying. And then our main event, continuation of the Hardy Party, continuing things their way, despite a backstage altercation with the Trust Busters in particular, where a dispute over $50,000 was settled with legal counsel Smart Mark Sterling. Yeah, that's about as legitimate as it gets as a lawyer in wrestling. Uh, Basically saying that you can use Matt Hardy's Twist of Fate. All right, Davari, are we square? Are we good? Okay, good. I don't have your money. I spent it. What were you thinking, Ethan? Jeez. As he even says, you guys gotta get ready. You got a trios match. You gotta get out there. You gotta prepare. And they did have a trios match, as of course Matt Hardy and Private Party not only had a trios match in Elevation, they had a match on Dark, but they focused on the one Monday night against. Let's hear it for the hardest working man in AEW Dark history, with I think now literally has reached his 100th loss in some capacity. Serpentico with Lufer, Chaos Project. Yes, I had my Lufer dictionary on standby, King. I'm sure you did too. With Isaiah Moore, which apparently there was a botch in the lineup. They thought was going to be the last real man professional wrestling / young. Personally, I'm glad it wasn't. And I guess Isaiah Moore shops the same tailors as far as ring gear goes as a Private Party. Honestly, I think Isaiah Moore and Private Party almost makes more sense than Matt Hardy. Either way, Matt Hardy and crew, they did get the win, and we go off the air. Ethan Page a bit disgruntled, a bit annoyed. Customer music off immediately tells them that they have a match on Dark. Prepare. You'll be in real competition as you take on the Wingman. Yeah, the Wingman. And that was AEW. Your face! Oh, gosh. And that was AEW Dark Elevation. So, again, biggest takeaway here. Good to see the bunny back. Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal, that is a terrifying tag team finish. I don't know if I would stick with that. God help us if Darby Allin tries and takes that. Because he will sell that as if he's dead. And like it could be. Yeesh. Also, good to see Konosuke Takeshita back, but darn Callis. Now, how long is this going to continue? Again, this little hand, does he have a plan? Is he thinking maybe more for the Elite? Or more for Kenny Omega? Or more for himself? Just saying. At one point, this man was known as Cyrus the Virus. Besides that, I don't got much more to say on this elevation. King, again, I know you don't watch, but again, you saw that highlight clip, and I'm pretty sure that even made you like, Jesus, that's the most ridiculous choice I've ever seen. But I know you could also talk about maybe your thoughts towards the Elite's own, Don Callis, and maybe, to come, Konosuke Takeshita.
That Dark Elevation, I did have time in my hands to watch almost the whole entire thing. I did see the Konosuke Takeshita and Don Callis. Even Christine brought it to my attention on my feed when she first was there in Chicago for that Dark Elevation.
Shout out to Shani
and I'm like, yes. It got me thinking. What was it? Late 2020, early 2021 was Konosuke Takeshita when he first got brought into AEW at Daily's Place in a tag match
on
with
Dark
Kenny
Elevation.
Exactly, with Kenny Omega and MT and Nakazawa. And it's like now we're going full circle with this, but with Don Callis scouting once more on Konosuke. Now, this is where I feel like this could go either two ways. One, we get the newest member of the Elite in Konosuke Takeshita, but he's so much a fan favorite. And I don't know if my boys are tweeners, face, heel. They're more on the tweener side as we speak.
They're doing their own thing, and those that follow the Elite will just support the Elite. It's as simple as that.
Wonderful. Or here's a wild left field curveball.
Go for it.
That wild left field curveball thinking, okay, when Omega was in Japan doing his thing in New Japan Pro Wrestling, who is his all-time rival? Okada. What if you bring that similarity here in the States, but with Takeshita?
Whoa.
And Don is already getting the scouting one up to see if, to see if those two will lock horns in a future matchup between Omega and Takeshita. And Omega will already have the one up on Takeshita when it comes to how he moves in the ring, where his moves lie because of Don scouting Takeshita.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair take. I was also considering this. I don't think Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita have the same level of history and chemistry as a certain golden lover.
Oh, speaking about him, yeah, he is. His shoulder is doing on the right track.
I'm just saying, Jeremy Forbes around the corner.
Yep, and that's when his contract expires with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, folks. I'm just saying. All right. Well, as we move on from there, it was AEW Dark last week, Tuesday night, on, of course, November the 29th. And, of course, we have Hikaru Shida kicking things off in singles action against Layla Luciano. And she also had somebody in her corner. Haganai Shino, apologies if I screwed up your name. Of course, they're part of a special movie type of producing Japanese art that they work on together. It was some nice marketing. Of course, she had 2 belts, having both of her championships with her as well. Of course, Regina D. Wave and one half of the tag ribbon champions. And with her match with Leia Luciano, I gotta admit, Layla brought a pretty good fight here. But again, when you challenge Hikaru Ashida, and she catches you in the corner, it's pretty much almost over. As she tries to go for the Falcon Arrow at one point, but again, power overcame, and then the Falcon Arrow didn't quite do the deal. But eventually, she finally set Layla up for that ridiculous knee strike, the katana, basically, proverbially slicing her, because that's what a katana is, folks, a sword. And Hikaru got the win. Not really much to say right here. Emi Sakura decided to have tea time with Tihara James. And of course, she chopped her. She inverted backbreak her. And again, this dark was really simple for me. I didn't have a whole lot to take away here except for the ending. And of course, Emi Sakura, she rolls on a good singles win. And we'll see what happens with her. I don't think she'll be tagging with Mikey Ito again anytime soon. The reality, Zach Clayton came back to us in action, and he took on Chris Wilde. And basically, he gave a reality check to this young man. Zach Clayton won. And Helico brought my vibe back, man. One of my favorite themes in all of AEW. And he gave us a new Navarro Special that Excalibur talked about on a commentary in Spanish, much to the confusion of Taz. Again, Excalibur and Taz are your dark commentary duo. But let's see if I get this name right. Hagana Shino, he definitely hanged with Angelico here. Kind of confused him at times. Because, again, Angelico, he's got that unorthodox Navarro submission, technical background, lucha libre style. But eventually, he literally folded him up like a pretzel of a different sort. And the dude had no choice but to tap out. That just goes to show how versatile Angelico can be. I almost wonder now, with this new move he brought out, did Shino prove something? Or does this mean Angelico is going to get more appearances and chances and opportunities? Just saying. Who better than the Machine Brian Cage, who wiped out Tony Deppen with a freaking drill claw? Ring of Honor Revisited. And, of course, we have the Factories, QT Marshall, Cole Carter, and Lee Johnson in trios action against Ryan Mooney, Justin Carino. I don't think no relation to Steve Carino. And Steve Justify. Of course, the Factory, they did win in the end. Bang! Diamond Cutter, QT Marshall led his troops to victory. Factory with a win. Who would have thought? And Cole Carter, Lee Johnson, good showing for them, especially because Cole Carter, he was going to be in action, as we found out, later in the week. As we move on from there, Jericho Preacher Society, we have the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, that True 3. They took on Tracy Williams, Jack Tomlinson, and LSG. It was over before it started. Seriously. I felt like I literally could have grabbed a beverage and this match was done. Not a whole lot to say right here. Again, this trio, they continue to gel perfectly. And Daniel Garcia gets the win. As, of course, Jericho Society, they continue to roll on. Because that's entertaining. And then it was the main event, as how they get the 3-piece sax band to freaking New Jersey from freaking Florida, I'll never know. The Wingmans, Ryan Nemeth, Peter Avalon, and Cesar Bononi coming out of the spa, look like, took on the Hardy Party. As Ollie Wolfman Page looked to, once again, encourage his own way of wrestling as a coach on behalf of them. Take this more seriously. Everything you feel like to you is a party. Stop that. You could win more. And there were a couple of moments here where Private Party did take the match serious and even Page approved. But then he tried to verbally assault Matt Hardy and nearly cost this trio too. When he said that again, you win for the firm. You win us that money. You get your share too, but that's money for the firm. And in the end, Matt Hardy, he did win, but not before trying to use the twist of fate, which again, if he did, would cost him $50,000, as Ethan Page reminded him. So what did Matt Hardy do? He improvised and did his own Eagles Edge for the win, which I rated all Eagle Ethan Page. I forget what he calls it, the Fall of Fate, I think, which I think is a very fitting name. He's like, I literally was just listening to my coach. He encouraged us. He inspired me. Don't you think that's great? I now have the Fall of Fate. That's the Fall of Fate. Named after you, Ethan Page. As he sent Private Party off in Lexi Nair, he basically confronted Matt Hardy saying, and I, again, subtle teases, I think, of something to come, King. No matter what I do, right now you may not be, but I will break you. Even if it means the next time you step out of line, it won't be you that suffers. It will be Private Party. Think about that, Matt Hardy. Again, it's out of my hands. Think about that. And Matt Hardy, you got some figuring to do. Because Private Party, you take them in like they're your own kids. You are inspired by them. They are inspired by you. But you could be the very detriment towards their career too. Now this plays a whole different level of mind games that could break Matt Hardy before he deletes Ethan Page, which I feel ultimately is the end goal. Especially after one time he literally was behind him, flipped him off, and just kept saying delete. He literally just sprained out into the stage while Ethan Page came out. That was freaking hilarious. That was actually on Dynamite when Ethan Page took the mic before his match with Ricky Starks. So again, not a whole lot to take away here besides the fact it was the debut of Hagane Shino and Angelico. Got another submission move he showed us for the first time in AEW. And also, now Matt Hardy, you literally hold the future of Private Party based on your actions. Think about that. Anything to add, King?
Oh, yep. Matt Hardy, better think wisely because you just gotten Private Party back within your good graces. Are you willing to make another? Are you willing to make that same mistake again? If I was Matt Hardy, I wouldn't think so. Not at all.
It's also one of those things where Private Party wasn't there during that. So how does Matt Hardy basically hide this, dark deal? Just saying. I feel like this is definitely going to unfold more in the coming weeks on Elevation and Dark. And one other thing to take away, Kip Sabian, he says that he and Alex Reynolds, we are not two of the same people. But you will embrace the change. For I do think you are a tremendous athlete, a great wrestler. You want to go against me once again? I will allow you that. Get ready for Kip Sabian versus Alex Reynolds 3, I believe. This should be interesting. And again, Kip Sabian, this character, this metamorphosis of him, still trying to figure it out, but definitely something unique. No
Very
box,
unique.
No box, by the way, was included in this in this promo. Thankfully, I don't understand the box thing. I don't. All right. Well, King, we finally go into last week, Wednesday, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite was on the air from the Indiana Farmers Coliseum in Indianapolis, Indiana, as of course Excalibur welcomes us in. And we kick things off with a wild thing in Jon Moxley, who basically said that I grew up about 90 miles from here, used to wrestle here all the time, been a crazy-ass ride. You never know what's around the corner, but there are 3 things that are a constant. Death, taxes, and Jon friggin' Moxley. There's nobody that can outwork me, out-wrestle me, bleed, swing, whatever that means. Not Johnny Swinger like. Nobody can do what I do inside this ring. Or outside of it, apparently. So, right now, nothing's changed since day one. Since I've really been in AEW, I'm at the top of the food chain. I do what I want. I say what I want. And honestly, who's going to friggin' argue that? And again, this ring belongs to me. So, you can do whatever you want. There's no man, no building, no army within 100 miles of here or beyond that has the balls to look me in the eye, make me think differently, or say differently. Well, Cowboy Siznek rode back into town. Heyman Adam Page is back, but he didn't say a word. Particularly, he let his actions speak for his own intentions. Didn't he, King?
Yeah, he did. He's like, do you even still remember what happened a couple weeks back?
Oh, he remembers all right.
Wow.
Good Lord. The freaking brawl broke out, and I don't think it helped that Jon Moxley did this. So, again, Jon Moxley, him and Adam Page, both men been there since day one. Each man has only had a single one-on-one match in the entire span of their AEW careers against each other. The first time they collided and confronted one another was at the top of a ladder. And that only match ended with him and Adam Page getting dropped. So, again, fighting with brains or fighting with heart? Him and Adam Page, I don't know if this is the right approach. I understand you're angry, clearly. But I don't know if this is wise. It's Jon Moxley himself who said that fighting Jon Moxley can be hazardous to your health. Exhibit A, him and Adam Page. Oh boy. Also, Jon Moxley botched, fell on the freaking entrance way off to the side when they were still trying to fight and brawl everywhere. Staff, referees, everybody trying to freaking pull apart. So much for Jon Moxley taking a vacation. That went out the damn window.
When is that
And
man ever going
backstage in
to
the
get his
parking lot.
vacation? When is that man ever going to get his vacation? I don't think ever.
That I feel like Renee will force that, but with Renee being back as well in the wrestling scene because she wants to be back as that. I don't know honestly with these two personally. I really don't. Anyway, commentary of course talked about this crazy main event ensued, and of course the main events to come tonight as we had match number 3 in the best of 7 series. That would be our main event. MJF will also speak. And we also go immediately to our first actual match, an exhibition, as I forgot to allude this on Rampage. But again, it all falls in line. Dax Harwood says, I've done a lot of great things this year, but to prove really that I am a top guy and how much passion I really have, I need to go against one of the very best in the game. So Bryan Danielson, let's do this thing one-on-one. King, this was a hell of a physical but awesome and technically sound exhibition for both. This was a nice change of pace, I feel, for both men.
And as the words, I'm going to say it in 3 words that you always say best. That's all I got to say about this one. That's professional wrestling.
Damn it. Yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about one half of the top guys. Dax Harwood has had more crazy sleeper singles classics this year in AEW than most of those men on that roster. And then, of course, you have Bryan Danielson, who is one of the best pure all-around professional wrestlers on the planet, shaped and endorsed and guided, encouraged by Lord William Regal himself. And the crowd, of course, applauded both of these men. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, the dichotomy of wrestling. 98% of the time you expect heel versus face. But once in a while, you just want to see something that goes up there as a classic, you know? Almost like these two were kind of born off each other in this game the same way. And that's really what this felt like here. You had some exchange chain wrestling, which I always enjoy. Both men playing the mat game, trying to apply a submission hold on a body part. At one point, we finally got Dax Harwood applying the sharpshooter. But of course, Dax Harwood, he may fight like an 8-year-old girl. He punches like a freaking heavyweight boxer as these two went to war, physically affair. At one point, though, Dax gets the roll up for a 2. Again, ring savviness and awareness. They literally were drawing the breath out of each other. Crossbody for another. Bryan sends Dax over the rope. Then Bryan, of course, flies. Because every AEW, you got to have at least one Tope Suicida for Tony Schiavone, particularly. And then we go to Restaurant Clyde Picture in Picture. They're slugging it out ringside. Because why not? It's a freaking fight. Anyway, as we come back, multiple German suplexes exchanged, including one that was nearly catastrophic from the top rope. But thankfully, they get back in. Instead, we get a bunch of reversals, and they're literally just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. Who gets control here? However, Brian, he avoids a powder, but Dax avoids another roundhouse. Then Dax spikes Brian Danielson with a freaking pile driver. And of course, Excalibur with typical 1, 2, no! I love that, actually. I kind of like the way he does that. Suspension of disbelief. Maybe not do it every fall, though. Kind of like change it up. That's just critique by me. Brian, of course, gets the shoulder up, and Taz and Excalibur, of course, they were in this freaking match. You could tell. That's, of course, he sends Brian out. There's a flying knee, though, from the apron, and then we go into the chop game. You know, it's funny. Brian Danielson loves chops, but no one's been able to chop this man enough for his chest to bleed. I feel like Brian is unsatisfied until that actually happens in wrestling. I'm just saying. Something to come, maybe. Brian Danielson, Tomohiro Ishii. Just saying. Sorry, I said it out loud. Anyway, we get elbow strikes galore. Dude, I like violence. What can I say? Damn it. Off the top rope, crowd chants, come along, fight forever at one point. There's clotheslines, and literally Dax kills Brian Danielson, turns him inside out, upside down, as good old JR would say. And both the men collapse as the crowd goes freaking nuts. This crowd was on their feet. Again, this match got ample time. I'm pretty sure this match had the most time on this show next to the main event, maybe. But as far as bell to bell goes. Anyway, as these two are literally, again, exhausting everything, Dax catches the flying knee, hits a slingshot bomb. Finally, I love when he does that. Perfect sit out. Still a nice near fall. Dax immediately, though, hits the sharpshooter. Again, biggest influence, the Hart Foundation. Best there is, best there was, best there will be. Of course, I'm about Bret the Hitman Hart. And literally, somehow, Brian was able to grab the ropes, keep his body off the mat to alleviate the pressure. Smart wrestling. As he goes for it again, Brian and Dax exchange a series of inside cradles. Still not enough, but then Brian finally catches him in the LaBelle lock as he struggled as much as he could. But again, in these great exhibitions, Dax Harwood falls to submissions. He was forced to tap out as both men were down and out. And the crowd, again, standing ovation as Brian endorses Dax Harwood afterwards. You're damn right that's professional wrestling. But that being said, what does that mean next for either man? Of course, Dax Harwood, he's got Wrestle Kingdom on the horizon. He knows that he's still the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion. And he knows he wants to grab the AEW Tag Team Champion with his partner. But it's one of those things where I feel like Dax, I feel like he's trying to prove himself that he can go maybe to that next level. Anthony, could we possibly be seeing Dax Harwood here as a sleeper single star to watch out for in 2023 in AEW?
If he keeps up this run in this year and going into next year, then yes, you're most definitely right. We could be seeing Dax Harwood as a sleeper singles competitor, single star for that matter, in 2023 if he keeps on this track, because every single singles match he's had this year,
Adam
from
Cole,
Will Ospreay,
just to name a couple, Jay Lethal, I saw live.
Yep,
Continue.
CM Punk, and now Brian Danielson. He's had bangers with those men we just mentioned. If he keeps this up with the great showing he's been, showing out there in front of the AEW fans and on national television like that, then yeah, sleeper 2023 star in the making for Dax Harwood.
How has this guy not faced Eddie Kingston one-on-one yet?
Yeah, it might happen. Give it time.
I think it should. I'm just saying. All right. As we go backstage from there, and Dax, of course, he fakes leaves and gives Brian the handshake, and both men hug. It's not weird to embrace in professional wrestling, especially when you respect each other in the ring, because that's what it means to perform inside that squared circle. Damn it. We go backstage to Tony Schiavone with Absolute Becca Starks, who says that he wants to absolutely gain and own everything, which is why he announced, I was wondering when this was going to be a thing. He is also going to be a participant in what you all will see this week. Of course, he was talking about next week. As we are in this week, the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale, looking to take the ring and the belt off Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Because I am absolute for a reason, and that winter is coming, I plan to prove it. Starks, you got high aspirations. Good luck. I hope your conditioning holds up. Well, as we go back from what the hell, man? Seriously, someone pull these two apart. You got John Moxley and Heyman Page fighting out in the parking lot. Can we get some damn security? Can you establish some law and order here into your company, Tony Khan? And apparently, both men they literally are drove out of the building for the rest of the night. As again, we were fighting on backstage. We go now to basically a little bit of a backstage vignette with Renee Paquette sitting down with the Jefferson Society's Jake Hager and his hat, Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. And on the other side, Claudio Castagnoli and with a Yuta Blackpool Combat Club. And, well, a couple of things were established here. King of nothing else, Renee Paquette. She's not Toya Schiavone. She won't take crap. She's the freaking interviewer. Let her do her damn job. Good on you, Renee. But also, we're kind of seeing where the battle lines are truly drawn in the ever-going continuation of what are the final battles maybe for the Jefferson Society and the Blackpool Combat Club, particularly with Claudio Castagnoli and Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, who was not there, but also Daniel Garcia, Ring of Honor Pure Champion, and with a Yuta. And also, Claudio does not give a damn about Jake Hager and his stupid purple bucket hat.
But he likes the hat.
Hindsight's 2020. Anyway, talk about this segment.
Which this segment led us into basically, of course, Claudio saying he does not give a darn about Jake's hat, and Jake with the rebuttal said, but I like this hat. Don't you dare disrespect the hat. But that also got Garcia saying, I'm glad I enjoyed the Blackpool Combat Club. This seems this is about to be crumbling apart. I'm glad I stick with the JS. And then Wheeler throwing out the one more challenge. Yes, folks, we are on next Saturday. Well, this upcoming Saturday, I should say.
Yep.
Final battle. One more time for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. It will be Daniel Garcia defending the title against Wheeler Yuta.
Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta 3. The men are 1-1 in Ring of Honor Pure title matches. Final battle is truly living up to its title. That is storytelling. I can't wait to see this. And yeah, Renee telling Matt Menard to shut up because Matt Menard, again, the most loud, outspoken guy of the Girl Appreciation Society. That was hilarious. He says, "You can be anything as a sports entertainer. Shut up." Thank you, Renee. Dadgummit. Sometimes that man needs a friggin' mute button. And again, he says this is his first title, and I have to prove I can win the big one. Claudio Castagnoli needs this more than anything. That's basically what this comes down to. When he literally walks away. After you did, I don't think it's true, but, it's one of those things where I think he agrees with the statement of Hager liking the hat. I don't think to say Claudio likes the hat. Remember, they tried to offer the man the hat in advance, okay? Just saying. All right. Well, as we, again, wonder about maybe the final words from the Ocho, I got a match that's going to be this week, we go back to in reaction as, for those that didn't watch Full Gear, Samoa Joe became Joe Two Belts and the king of television, as he now calls it after this match, taking on the newly signed AR Fox, defending the TNT Championship. King, take it away, because simply put, this was Samoa Joe the way we know him.
This was Joe with the sidestep, but AR Fox scouted the sidestep. But he also, it was face to ring posts. But also, Joe, being Joe, got the win to retain that TNT Championship, which AR Fox had a good showing. He really did. I will give AR Fox a lot of credit here. But at the end of the night, like I posted on my Twitter, Joe is just Joe, man. There's really nothing you can do about it. But we had Wardlow on the screen and saying, you think you're the king of television now, so as you call yourself. Sounds like Wardlow wants another shot at the TNT Championship, and who can blame him?
Yeah, again, he said this is still Wardlow's world. Wardlow is still furious, but there's a so calm before the storm now with him as he sets his sight on Joe. But yeah, AR Fox playing the rubber man, selling the fact he was getting bounced around like a pinball and literally bent over like a slinky in the ring. That was freaking bloody brilliant. I mean, Samoa Joe took his head off at one point. Again, that explosive insecurity out of the court. Joe A guy that size should not be that explosive and that agile. Still baffles me to this day. I'm just
Yep,
saying.
it
Just saying.
does. It really does.
Oh gosh.
Especially with age creeping up on him, and he still can be that explosive.
Yeah. Joe with a sidewalk slam. Joe taunts him, tries for muscle buster. Fox fights out of it, and then Fox comes off the top of the tornado DDT. Joe has Rob, a Fox with a bunch of kicks. Short range cutter, then heads up the top rope for the 450 splash. And that was the closest AR Fox came to winning this match, but Joe found his way out. And as you say it again, Joe at one point walks away from an attempted move like it was nothing, scouted that like 20 minutes ago, and then catches AR Fox in the muscle buster. Game over. So
Hmm.
proclaims the king of television. Oh my gosh. The new and glorious era. Now, this is glorious to me. All right. Meanwhile, we are seeing a novel written before our eyes in a visual format as the Book of Hobbs continues to be told by Powerhouse Hobbs, who basically shows us him walking through Oakland, how he was beaten up, bullied, how he is going to let everyone feel the pain so much that he felt as he looks to take what belongs to him by any means necessary. And following that, we see technique by Taz, Hook, and Lee Moriarty regarding how Hook once again showed us how technically sound he is, countering Tiger style into the Red Rum like it was nothing. So, who could stop Hook? And what's next in the chapters of the Book of Hobbs? Some interesting vignette here by Hobbs. And as far as talking about Hook, I mean, again, it sounds like they're really trying to push forward Hook and Hobbs in different ways.
They never should have got rid of the technique by Taz in the first place. That was actually a very good sports eccentric segment that for people that are into the holds and like a sports like fashion that way might want to learn that move one day.
Execution is everything, as you know. Again, you're talking about technique. Taz, hello.
Technique.
That fair enough. And as far as Hobbs goes, giving us a bit of a retrospective into real life and how he wants to bring that sort of animosity forward into wrestling sooner or later in a heck of a fight. I'm curious where this goes and what his final message or chapter in this Book of Hobbs will be, King.
Exactly. I was hoping at Full Gear that he was my pick at Full Gear to win the TNT title, but man, was I wrong?
We all were. Sorry, Cindy. All right. Well, you can have fun with this because, ladies and gentlemen, Lord William Regal was there walking down a Burberry carpet. Oh, Lord. And introduced to us the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And then the man grabbed a mic in his pinstriped, better than you suit. King, take it away because you talk about a devil worse than the devil, maybe. This was pretty damn good for an opening champion promo.
It was, but I'm gonna go straight into the title, which he says the OG title. I don't even want to look at it. It disgusts me.
Mm-hmm.
So he got rid of the OG title and he unveiled the Triple B's, ladies and gentlemen, the Big Burberry belt.
Wow.
We have our first champions customized AEW belt in history of this 3-year company. And it happened to be MJF with the Burberry strap. It's going to take me some time getting used to because I'm now currently as this state of mind, I prefer the OG better than the Burberry. But I will say this in Jake the Snake Roberts form. Jake back in the day says, I'm a snake. Never trust a snake. And these words I'm about to say about MJF, he's the devil. You don't make a deal with the devil. And that's exactly what Regal paid the price for, as he got clocked by the Dynamite diamond ring in the back of the head that laid him out cold. And he was stretchered out of the building, and that's when Brian Danielson came to his aid. Now, before we go any further, I know you got more to talk about on this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of retrospectives we can put on this, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it as well. But go ahead and lay it on us. What's on your mind?
That played into the rumor factor. The rumor factor of, I don't know if you know, but that segment right there, what MJF did on Wednesday night, Regal's done with AEW. Regal is done. He is, as of next month, he's going back to be with his guy, Triple H, over there in WWE, back over there as a backstage, in a backstage role. So as of that Wednesday, that segment was for Regal to be out of AEW because he had a clause in his contract stating that he could go back. If he chooses to go back to WWE, he could get out. Like, he could choose to when he wants to.
I think that's fair considering his tenure, particularly in that company. You consider him literally being involved in that place since the friggin' 1990s. A real man, manager, general manager again for a friggin' developmental brand that became its own thing for 7 years. One of the greatest minds ever, brainchild behind NXT UK, and just to name a few things. The comedy with him and Tajiri. I mean, when you figure about professional wrestling, no one's more niche probably than William Regal and Triple H when it comes to idealism. So it would not surprise me if that is the case. And talk about a way to get right up, because Regal did his job again. He built a star. And now I wonder if MJF is still holding those brass knuckles going forward inside his blazer. Or did he just drop him off in the ring after cold cocking him? Because, he dropped him dead. Literally. And they sold this perfectly. Even beyond the segment when we came back, Brian Danielson literally went inside an ambulance. But here's a few things to think about. Triple B. He talks about Triple H. He talks about a reign of terror. See what I'm going with here? He talks about this being the ship to wager during the bidding war of 2024. Talks about being the most important championship in professional wrestling because I'm the man holding it. Should we acknowledge him? You will only see this very rarely. You will only see me wrestle very rarely. And there is nobody on my level, which is why guys like Rick Starks, Brian Danielson, Eddie Kingston will never be the world champion. In this segment alone, MJF is already putting himself up there with the greatest of all time, including Triple H, but subtly foreshadowing who he could be working with in the going future forward. As the champion, you are the face of the company, but you also have to elevate talent. He is, and I stand by it, I was right, he is the pillar of the original four to become the champion. While the others became champions in their own right, he's the guy that's said to be the champion. He is now the face of AEW. And whether or not that means you only see him once a quarter, once every few weeks, literally only on pay-per-view defending this title, it's going to be curious to see how MJF continues to elevate not just his character, but the status quo of the AEW World Championship. The way that Tony Schiavone and Taz sold their reactions to the Burberry strap, Tony Schiavone's like, here's desecrated our title. Blah! It friggin' made me laugh. And Taz was like, that's beautiful. That's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. I feel like Scalper was a little bit like, I mean, play-by-play guy, I guess you're not necessarily supposed to be part of the storytelling because it was a wrestling match, but maybe you should have stayed silent here. Excalibur, you felt a little weird and out of place. Just saying.
He did. He really did.
Yeah. But yeah, they talked about the email. He said that the firm attacked you. It's clear that you're weak. I see potential in you to be the greatest villain of our time. A villain above the villain. That's what MJF out of this segment came out to be. Because no matter what, crowd reacted. Booed, cheered, thought the title was hideous. It will probably develop over time, like you said. The way he dropped the other championship outside the ring to the floor, tossed it like it was yesterday's garbage. It's one of those things where it's like, I never got to properly thank you. Bang. I figured that he and Regal were going to have a fallout. I did expect it to be so sudden. And
Right.
again, no remorse, no look back, no sympathy. And he went through the audience like it was nothing. Go ahead, people. Embrace me. Hate me. Because I'm better than you, and you know it.
You know it.
The era of Maxwell Jacob Friedman has begun in AEW. Lord help us. But what a
Oh
way
boy.
to inaugurate a new AEW World Champion and probably the most dangerous villain in professional wrestling. With that in mind, there's no telling what this guy can do now that he has the title.
It's going to be a very interesting ride with this reign of terror that MJF has bestowed upon us.
Again, he name dropped Triple H. He name dropped Khan's, his favorite Khan, Nick Khan. This guy owns the industry right now in the palm of his hands. And he has the ultimate betting chip, apparently, to use against anybody. It's going to be interesting to see what AEW does with him in 2023. But 2023 will be the year of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Guaranteed.
Yep.
All right. Well, again, as Bryan Danielson, by the way, only wearing one boot, he was still in the trainer's room, clearly, rushed to the ring. Regal again motionless, bleeding from the inside. Obviously, blood bag. Rode off with him in an ambulance. It would not surprise me, King. At Winter is Coming conclusion, Bryan Danielson confronts Maxwell Jacob Friedman. There's your program for New Year's Smash.
You thinking you New Year's Smash? I'm gonna take you one step further. Revolution.
Well, it could be. Also, will MJF roll with anybody? Stokely, particularly. Again, Ethan Page says that I will become AEW World Champion. And Ethan rolls with Stokely. Stokely used to roll with MJF. Is there, any animosity still between the two? Again, at this point, Stokely is not a villain or a devil. He's just a crooked dealer
Yeah.
that thrives off blackmail. Just saying. Anyway, as we go from there, Absolute Record Stocks is in action. As Tony basically alluded to, that this is a black eye on AEW. Well, you want to talk about black eyes? Ricky Starks almost got one. He took on Dynamite, but before the bell rang, Ethan Page made his intentions be known that he will also be in the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. And will do everything possible to make sure that Ricky Starks loses that, just like he expects him to lose against MJF at Winter is Coming. And once Ricky Starks falls against MJF, Ethan Page is going to go after the AEW World Championship. And literally, Matt Hardy, this is the moment where he's like, I'm just going to take, your glory away, throw him backstage, and then he just like, delete, 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 and also puts him off, goes for the tunnel. Again, maybe Matt Hardy's more broken than meets the eye. But you want to talk being broken, bell rings, spear! Ricky Starks beats Ari Daivari in less than a minute. Well, that was a thing. Oh, gosh. What else is there to say? Ethan Page, Ricky Starks, both in the Dynamite Battle Royal. Ricky Starks is challenging at Winter is Coming for the title. Ari Daivari lost profit. Yeah. I tell you. Anyway, as we go backstage, we are with Tony Schiavone once again with his best friend, Donna Bigger DMD, and Jamie Hayter. As Bigger talks about their tag win and the Steelers. They also talk about Saraya sit down, but Hayter offers Tony Schiavone to have one with her, And on behalf of Britt, she says that I'm sure Tony would love to do that. Yeah, Tony, why don't you have a sit down with AEW channel? Like, okay, I will. There you go, AEW. So next week, you get a sit down with Tony Schiavone and Jamie Hayter, courtesy of yours truly, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Jamie Hayter still did not do it. Again, Britt controlling the environment, but not having the championship. I'm just saying. The epitome of sports entertainers came out next as we had a singles match with Anna J, AS, and Willow Nightingale. And this was a nice pick me up for the crowd because again, Willow, that theme, that energy, you just gotta smile and love it when Willow comes out to the ring. As Anna J had Tymel in her corner. For what this match was, and yes, it was in the typical let's put every women's segment in this proverbial spot on the show. Stop doing that, dang it. But I digress. For what this match was, they gave Willow Nightingale some good time to show, but also Anna Jay, she carried herself pretty well here, considering that now she's being booked in the light of a sports entertainer, not the silent physical killer that you try to see if she can come out victorious. But for what it was worth, Willow overcame the Odds King and got the win on Dynamite. That's gotta mean something bigger for her down the line.
A championship opportunity maybe down the line for Willow. A very good showing from both ladies. Like I was saying earlier, the women's division is slowly improving. That's what I love to see.
Yeah, respect women's wrestling, damn it. Again, both ladies square off. Anna ducks a lockup, taunts, but Willow uses, again, Willow's strength, difference maker, big time. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, crossed by Willow for a 2 count. Then she hits the hip attack on Anna, but misses a big lariato. And Anna capitalized with a mean kick, dangerous J kick. And then Anna Jay with a blockbuster, but still not enough. And of course, Tymel helped at one point to allow Anna Jay with the advantage. As Willow and Anna, they continued firing off shots against each other, elbow strikes. At one point, Willow got a spine buster in for a near fall, but Anna was able to kick out. As you look for the Death Valley driver, but then we got a gory bomb. Okay, Anna Jay, I see how strong you are. I gotta admit, that was impressive. I did not expect her to be able to do that, but also wasn't enough. It got her a near fall. Willow breaks out of the attempted Queen Slayer, aka sleeper hold. At one point, Willow, though, gut wrench, going for Dr. Bomb, but Ty, once again, looking for distraction, did not work this time. Anna rolls up Willow for a 2 count, and then Willow finally decks the freaking Ty J-A-S. That is so hard to say. Connection with a discus lariat and has Anna finally set up in the gut wrench for the Dr. Bomb, and Willow gets the win. On her own, Willow Nightingale gets the win against Anna J-A-S, despite Tymel's shenanigans. So, again, Willow, who just got signed, the place was talking to her. Good for her. Big win on the main show, Dynamite. But in Anna Jay's defense, it was a good showing, and again, impressed us with a gory bomb. So she still is constantly improving. It's all about doing the most you can in the spot you're given. But seriously, Tony Khan, put some more respect in your women's division. But speaking of women's division, as Tymel looked to counsel Anna Jay, that did not last long as somebody finally came back home. Destination known, even though Destination Unknown was hit. Ruby Soho is back, and she dropped Tymel, who of course broke her face during the AEW All Out buy-in, and did not forget. Tymel dropped on the stage. Ruby Soho is back. Wonderful to see.
I I know we was talking about it on our on our Zoom call last week. I forgot how long she was out for. I knew it was since September, but dang.
Yeah, right. Well, again, all smiles, and apparently now with the green hair, no longer orange.
No,
Interesting
green
choice.
hair. It has a good fit for her.
Yeah,
I don't know
it
why,
works.
but it's a good fit.
Well, I mean, with the whole rancid thing, I feel it. Yeah, it definitely does work.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get a highlight video package, of course, with the House of Black, who took out the Best Friends and the Factory. Again, we don't know what their purpose or mission is. It just seems like it's all out, pun intended, maybe, war on AEW. But then we also get QT and OC who are backstage, and QT says that I have unfinished business and I have something to say. I want an AEW. Okay. All right. Well, here are my circumstances. I also want to be allowed. Sure, no problem. Well, there you go. It will be Orange Cassidy versus QT Marshall for the AEW Ultimate Championship Friday on Rampage. Of course, this was last week. In a lumberjack match. And OC's like, cool, okay. And walks away. And he was not holding the title. He was holding the backpack, holding the title. Because he doesn't like to carry things.
Nope, he doesn't.
Well, that's a freaking thing. Okay, before I talk about this, well, who am I to talk about this next segment? Because between Indigo and you, I'm not sure who was looking more at this for a whole different reason. Jeez. I forgot to mention, Jay Cargill fired Kiera Hogan as a baddie, courtesy of Smart Mark Sterling, folks. But Red Velvet's also back, so this is now... Why? Why was this a thing? Let's you know what? No. King.
No.
Jay Cargill. She is still the undefeated TBS champion and has made her voice, her presence, her star power be known in quite a unique attire. It was a TBS championship celebration. And honestly, it was more so an in-ring promo from that bitch. Take it away.
Yep, that in-ring promo of where money talks, talk is money. That led to a certain rapper we just got through talking about on screen by the name of, he's back, folks, but via satellite, Bow Wow. Talking to Jade, saying, "Oh, don't worry, Jade. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna be in AEW real soon. I'm gonna see you, Jade." And this is where the conspiracy theory of mine came into play.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh yes. As you can see the green here. Now, August of this year, a certain boss has filed for 4 trademarks. Mercedes Moné. Moné talks. Talk is Monet in the Monet statement. And those trademarks, it is licensed under professional wrestling and etc. entertainment. Now, part 2 of this conspiracy. Bow Wow was minted underneath Mercedes' cousin, Snoop Dogg. Now, you're probably wondering, what's King talking about?
Man, boy, you crazy. You talking crazy.
No, I'm not talking crazy, because the reason why we haven't seen this boss over there in Stanford is because of moolah. Mercedes wants more moolah. She wants that Roman and Brock type of money. But as we speak on this recording, she has not received that offer. So let this play out even longer. Bow Wow may be the reason if Mercedes Vernado does not get her money of where she rightfully thinks she deserves, and the way how Jade and Bow Wow were talking about talk is money and money talks. And plus, I did look up on her Instagram. She lives in LA now. And for what I've heard from Conan, which, of course, Mercedes was in Mexico for a month getting her ring shape back because she is not taking any wrestling bookies until 2023 of January. If she does not get her money, I think we could be seeing Bow Wow bringing in Mercedes Vernado into AEW January 11th in LA at the Kia Forum, and we might get a TBS championship match between Jade and Mercedes.
Holy hell.
Because I've been noticing Jade been wearing a lot of money green as of late. And the way she's been talking about money, talk is money, and then Bow Wow saying money and talk, like, talk is money, money talks. Battle Royale may be the reason. Battle Royale may be the key to bringing Mercedes in. Because it ain't Kiera Hogan, as I saw earlier today when they was announcing the matches for Dynamite. It ain't Kiera Hogan.
Yep, fair enough. I mean, again, Jade said, I made the baddie, so I control who stays and who goes. So I took out the trash last week. Ouch. And standing next to me is a blessing. And if you want to step up, you're gonna step up. You better step up, or you're gonna get stepped off. Because I'm the brightest star backstage. Nobody has my body, or apparently shows it off like that either. Jeez. My face, my aura. I put asses in seats. I wrestle for bad bitches. Now cameramen do my job and get my baddies. I am nothing but real. I create careers. And then Bow Wow again, like you said, right now, congratulates her. Says he has a lot of time in his hands, and he's got a lot planned in the future, so watch out. King, you very well might be onto something, but I don't care if you own a freaking football league and auto industry. I don't think AEW alone has money for money like that in the long term. That would have to be special contract based on appearance. That would be ridiculous.
Like I said, as far as the date of this recording, Sasha has not. Mercedes has not received that money that she's won in her contract. If this continues, I think January 11th might be the seeds been planted for Revolution.
Fair enough.
Might.
I guess we'll find out. 2023, already looking very interesting. All right. We go backstage as Sergeant Daddy Az reminds the Acclaim what they are. They are the AEW Tag Team Champions because everybody loves the Acclaim, and they want to prove that they are fighting champions and look to give the best tag team a shot at the titles, and will do that this Friday on Rampage, make their intentions be known towards their respective challengers. And with that being said, all they need to do now is scissor. And so they did. At ease, soldier. All right. As we go from there, it was time for our main event. 15-minute insanity. As I look how many times you could reinvent the wheel. Damn it, they did it again before the bell. Here you go, King. As always, I give you the main event, but this is one you definitely can break down much more thoroughly, being coached in the dark and seeing what happened. It was the best of 7 series continuation. Match number 3 between the Death Triangle and the Elite. Take it away, Anthony.
Before we get to match 3, game 3, Matt knew, Nick knew, Kenny knew. They read the game plan. They scouted the tapes. They scouted the tapes. Coach Callis went over the X's and O's with the boys, and it seems like Coach Callis's game plan worked, and Matt Jackson's legacy was preserved because on our Zoom watch along on Wednesday.
You were very vocal as a coach during it. Yes.
I said that Coach as Coach A trained that night as I was. I was going to put Matt Jackson on the trading block if he did not do his due diligence and he did not do his role. I said I was going to call the Lakers. I said I was going to call the Clippers, and I said I was going to call the Warriors to see who can I get back in return for one said Matt Jackson. Heck, I was even going to call Obari-san from New Japan Pro Wrestling to see who I can get back in return for about a month for Matt Jackson. I was thinking of the Great Okan. I was thinking of Will Ospreay. I was thinking of Okada. I was thinking of Naito. But I digress because Matt Jackson came in clutch like Steph Curry and LeBron James together, and the legacy was preserved. I can't even break this match down because of how awesome it was between these 6 men once again. But the Elite have finally got one on the board as Matt Jackson pulled up a Michael Jordan type of numbers. Matt Jackson put up Michael Jordan type of numbers here. This was the flu game type of numbers as he put up. So I will give his status as Coach A train of the Elite. I will say this: his trading value is safe for now.
The key word here is for now, apparently. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about things right before the bell, shall we? As these 6 men, they literally kick things off with Formula of the Night, crazy melee on the entranceway. All hell broke loose. Freaking referee Rick Nance had no control whatsoever. The Elite met up on the ramp. Everybody was slugging it out. Big Hurricane Rana on a Phoenix. Kenny Omega with a nasty bulldog on the ramp to Pac. And then Kenny landed hard on his hip. Bucks, course drive, pot down to the ring. Looks like they're trying to isolate and dominate before the bell even rang. Match has not even started, and Kenny literally had Pac set up for a V trigger, but instead gets caught with a thrust kick that dropped to where he stood. The Lucha Brothers fly and take out the Bucks as we go to commercial. The match is still not started. We're still brawling outside of the ring. This went for 2 picture-in-pictures, by the way, folks. They made sure these guys brought it all out in game number 3. All right, fine. I'll go NBA style here. As this continued on, we had apron bombs, trio style. We even had trios moonsaults at some point down the line. And then we have the hammer brought into play very immediately. But Rayfield is like, no, we don't need to do this. And suffers what felt like a suicidal V trigger. Even Kenny Omega looked like, damn, I just killed this man. Because Ray Phoenix was a non-factor for a portion of this match. Then Snapdragons at one point. Kenny Omega taking control over Penta. Dueling super kicks by the Bucks. Kenny with powerbomb feature combination. But again, Pac breaks it up again. Pac still wearing the protective face mask here too. Which definitely was something to think about. As Penta comes back in, trying to take out the Elite. The Elite, though, they try to isolate Penta. And the Elite, again, coach getting angry. Misplay here. The ball apparently was not caught. Literally, Kenny Omega kicks in the face. Lucha Brothers, they take advantage again. And then next thing you know, Kenny Omega, he is nearly pinned after a Fear Factor pile driver. But somehow we were able to still be in this. Your boys were not out. Then Pac gets the tag in, and Pac sees, again, the speed and the aggressiveness of Pac. Absolutely ridiculous. Super Falcon fracking arrow on Kenny Omega. And somehow Kenny Omega still is alive and did not do the freaking deal. And this was our last Wrestling Quality picture-in-picture. The second one, as I alluded to. As we come back again, Pac gets nailed with a V-trigger. Bang! Damn! And turned inside out with a lariat. And then Phoenix and Nick, again, Phoenix and Nick, it's just magic when those two collide with each other. Cazadora facebuster for a 2 count. And then both Bucks, they literally caught in and catch Phoenix, and then literally Matt goes to Nick. The 2 bump heads, meeting of the minds. Not necessarily when it was supposed to happen, but they were able to still get the advantage and hit more bang for your buck, but still only get a 2 count. At this point, you're wondering what the hell was it going to take, because Penta was able to come in for the save. Always somebody was there. BTE trigger was loaded up, but Pac and Penta were able to stop that from happening. As Kenny fights off Penta, and Pac avoids a dragon suplex, and Phoenix hits a ridiculous cutter, that freaking cutter that he does on Kenny Omega. Still not enough. The assisted double stomp Fear Factor by Penta and Phoenix takes out Kenny and Nick. Penta able to take out Kenny and Pac with the stomp on Matt for the 2. Still not freaking enough. And I'm like, you got literally 2 minutes here. What the hell is the final play? Are you going to go into overtime, like, just to not hear the stupid American Dad theme? There, I freaking said it. At one point, sheer drop brainbuster by Pac to Matt Jackson. Pac was done playing games here. Still not enough. As he stares at Matt and looks for, well, the one thing he really hasn't hit yet. And that is, of course, the Black Arrow as he sets up Matt in the drop zone. And getting his balance a little bit as Phoenix was being held back. Kenny Omega and Phoenix basically trying to jockey for position here. But Pac goes to the Black Arrow, and somehow, Matt gets the knees up in the perfect moment for Pac to hit them face first on that mask and literally knock himself out for Matt Jackson to get the roll-up. And the win! The Elites are on the board now, 1 and 2, as Kenny was able to stop Phoenix from breaking up the attempted decision 2. And this was after Rick Knox got bumped earlier. So again, ridiculous, wild, trios affair. Don't call it a comeback yet, but don't call it a blowout. It is now 2-1, and the next game will take place at Winter is Coming. Sheesh!
I wish I would have seen that live next week. Man, it hurts. Priorities first.
Right. Prayers for passion, story of my life. You already know how I felt about Cincinnati, but I digress. And then the Elite, of course, they celebrate. They even try and, send the crowd off happy. But again, they had to go. So immediately they say, without further ado, goodbye, good night, good luck. Play that song again. Carry on, my wayward son. As Death Triangle look on in disbelief.
Yep. Very good main event to close out Dynamite, especially in Indiana. The Elite's legacy was on the line that night. And boy, Matt Jackson delivered with the game-winning shot with the knees up. Like I said, Matt Jackson's legacy has been preserved, and he is now off the trading block for now until December 14th to see what happens in Garland, Texas. So we got a week to wait. Those 6 men got a week to rest up.
I wonder if that's going to be enough. Then again, these guys, you could say that they're superhuman at this point, or they think they're superhuman and still trying to kill their bodies, particularly the Elite, but I digress. Overall, though, I enjoyed this Dynamite for what it was definitely worth. Again, it was continued fallout. It was more so just figuring out what could be next. You're talking about long-term storytelling for the TBS Championship, though I would not count out still Chris Statlander agenda. He did say that he will treat her right when she returns. I'm still holding Tony Khan that because Tony Khan, again, Chris Statlander should be the next TBS champ, in my opinion. Although Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter is not a bad shout out either. Again, depends when she returns. Hangman Page is back, and it looks like he and Jon Moxley are going to just go balls to the wall crazy in physicality. You might need to put these two in a lights out match. God help Hangman Page's health. That's all I gotta say about that. A brilliant exhibition between Bryan Danielson, reminding us how great he is as a professional wrestler, but how far Dax is willing to push himself as well. But also MJF, the latest devil of the industry, who will be the first to confront him, maybe even before winter is coming, as he defends the Dynamite Diamond Ring this week on AEW Dynamite, and Orange Cassidy, whatever. And a good women's action, too. So, overall, this was a pretty darn good show. I don't have a lot to complain about from this episode. Honestly, this was better than the Fallout one because it gave more context to several things.
It really did. More storytelling, and plus, like you just pretty much said, it was pretty much better than the Fallout from all. Like it just these shows ever since after Full Gear continues to keep gradually getting better and better as we head to winter is coming. But before we get there, we got San Antonio to worry about first.
Yep. And of course, that'll be this week. But of course, before we wrap up stuff for the night, there was one last thing to wrap up last week after AEW Dynamite, as of course, the melees and chaos ensued on Rampage. As of course, we had AEW Rampage from the same building, and we kicked things off with Darby Allin renewing stuff with the guy that literally fooled him into thinking that Sting was coming behind him, but wasn't. And that's the Fat Three's Cole Carter. Honestly, the last blemish on a very rocky road for Darby Allin lately in AEW. Not much to say here. Darby Allin, again, he showcased what he's about, and that's getting ragged on by his opponent to make them look strong. Cole Carter, first real singles exhibition. He brought a lot here. Good offense, including an Avalanche Falcon Arrow. Still not enough to do the deal. I still say no one does a better Falcon Arrow than Hikaru Shida, but even then, she can't finish the deal herself, it seems, more often with that. But at least she's won once, at least with that move. Just saying. But Darby wins with a coffin drop after a Scorpion Death Drop. Again, combination. As of course, he is encouraged by Sting. But I digress. Meanwhile, we are backstage with one Keith Lee, who, of course, last time we saw him, he was talking about his future with Swerve, and the two talked behind closed doors, or cut off camera, never learned anything about the conversation. But it seems that Keith Lee cannot escape from his past to look towards his limitless future. As all people to confront him, Shane Taylor. What the hell? Former partner, one half of Pretty Boy Killers, who challenged Keith Lee after questioning his latest motives. Keith Lee, seriously, how many people do you have history with when it comes to tag teams?
And this is like the biggest what if scenario because we all know what happened in 2017. He never did show. We all know where he went. H got him. H got him locked up over in the black and gold.
Yes, he did.
And now Keith Lee is turning to Swerve's side because Swerve came out of the back. And then Keith Lee turned to him and said, "Can I even trust you?" And then he walks off.
I have suspicions.
I do too.
That's all,
do too.
That's all I'm going to say. But it looks like we got a tag grudge match for the Ring of Honor Final Battle pay-per-view. So
Swerve in Our Glory versus Shane Taylor Promotions.
this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Shane Taylor and Keith Lee. Let's freaking go. This is gonna be good. Former Ring of Honor Television Champion, one of the longest reigning Ring of Honor Television Champions. Hell of a run. All right. Well, as we move on to the Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, they tag team against Private Party squash match. Moving on, we have Athena taking on Danny Mo. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Danny Mo's smile was wiped off her face freaking clean, wasn't it, King?
It was.
Damn. Elbow, big stomp, game over. That's wrong. That's just wrong.
Very, very wrong. But there's one thing you forgot to mention.
Go
The
ahead.
Acclaimed were on Rampage too.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because following that tag team tomfoolery, we did get the Acclaim, who made their intentions be known that they want to challenge the top tag team in AEW for they are fighting champions. And we're not talking about the Double J and J
No,
connection.
No, not that.
We are not talking about the bottom boys trying to be something that their dad thought they could be, but couldn't live up to the occasion. Ouch. Dun, dun. We are talking about the top guys in AEW. FTR finally gets their chance to become 8-star and will challenge the Acclaim for the AEW World Tag Team Championships this Wednesday on Dynamite. Now, why I am excited for this, my mind, I can't help but think about it. You did talk about disqualifications earlier. I can't help but think about two other teams with a sense of jealousy that might make their presence be known. I think we got a human car wreck on our hands that could be a botch to what could be a classic, Anthony.
Yep, it is, Noah. The Kingdom is one of them that I could think of.
Well, the Kingdom I wouldn't mind, but the other two teams, no.
No, because if you need a Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship for Final Battle, that's why I think the Kingdom will get involved to set it up for Final Battle.
Yeah. Question is, will FTR stand in defeat and still be 7-star, or will they stand victorious as 8-star and be confronted afterwards? Or will thy Kingdom presence be known during this bout from a ringside seat? Again, the strength of AEW, they don't do screwy finishes every damn week. In fact, they do it less than a double-digit count. How's that, WWE? Sorry, did I go say that out loud? That being said, shout out to the account that showed up that statistic for last year, by the way. I'm pretty sure WWE broke that record this year. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, again, AEW World Tag Team Championship match this Wednesday. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match Saturday. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title match Wednesday, January 4th. These top guys are going to be defending 3 sets of titles literally in the span of a month. In 3 different promotions.
Be busy top guys they're going to have. Busy top guys.
Yeah, I think busy is an understatement. Okay. I will leave my suspicious disbelief alone for Wednesday as I now give you guys a subtle preview with the Excalibur rundown of what's to come this Wednesday, now known for AEW Dynamite, that of course will be the go-home show to Winter is Coming. And we do have Samoa Joe defending the TNT Championship, of course, the Kid Television, against, and he made his intentions be known. You called it, King. Darby Allin. In a backstage segment, Darby Allin said, I finally have removed all things that have prevented me from going after this too. It's me and you, Samoa Joe. You say you're going to kill me? All I'm going to say is you're going to have to try. Darby Allin wants the TNT Championship back. This is going to be physical, to say the least. We also know that the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale will also be, of course, we have our falling contenders so far in Absolute Ricky Starks. All you go for the page. Dalton Castle, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Matt Hardy, and it looks like Captain Sean Dean and Brian Cage. More entrants are to be announced. And we'll also hear from the AEW World Champion, MJF. Good grief, that sounds like a never-ending story. Sit-down interview with the current AEW Women's World Champion, as Jamie Hayter will be with Tony Schiavone. We also have the baddies and that B in Trios action. Jade Cargill with the returning Red Velvet, her first limited action since returning from injury. And, of course, Layla Gray, the right baddie. They take on the trio of... Sorry, King. They take on the trio of Sky Blue, Madison Rayne, and now Kiera Hogan, who is probably a very disgruntled released employee. We also, of course, will have tag team matches as Jake Hager and Daniel Garcia. The Ring of Honor Pure Champion will go up against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta ahead of Ring of Honor Final Battle. Of course, more matches are to be announced for Ring of Honor Final Battle as well. And we will also hear from Jon Moxley, who I'm sure is going to have a lot more to say to who we once called a kid in Heyman and Page. And, of course, the Acclaim defend the AEW World Tag Team Championships against FTR, the current Ring of Honor and IWGP and AAA Tag Team Championships. This and so much more ahead this coming Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. And, of course, more matches will be announced for AEW Rampage. Not to mention, as King alluded to, this Saturday is the final Ring of Honor pay-per-view of the year. How fitting of a name, Ring of Honor Final Battle. And what's now been known, it will be Athena versus Mercedes Martinez for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. And it will be Chris Jericho, the Ultra, defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Claudio Castagnoli. And the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Daniel Garcia, goes round 3 with Blackpool Combat Club's own Wheeler Yuta. And more matches, again, are to be announced as we get literally to Saturday. But before that, it was time to get ready for, and they were dressed for the occasion once again. I love this freaking group so much. The best friends accompanying freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy down to the ring as he defends the freshly squeezed AEW All-Atlantic Championship against the Factory's QT Marshall, Factory in full tow, including Nick Gamurotto. Not much to say before the match literally got underway, as again, Orange Cassidy had the mic, and Orange, let me say it. It looks like there's been enough talk. King, you know what to do. It's time for the main event. And as a lumberjack match goes, well, it's what you expect. Go ahead and break it down, King. This was fun, but we all knew how this was going to play out.
Yeah. All I gotta say was my takeaway around this match was shout out to Kevin Thorne because he was there ringside, which I never thought I'd see Kevin Thorne in a wrestling capacity ever again. Which that caught me off guard. Tony, how did you manage to do it? You caught me off guard. How did you manage to get Kevin Thorne in a wrestling capacity again? But of course, OC retains the title. Did anyone expect QT Marshall to become an all-athletic champion? I mean, let's face it, folks. Orange Cassidy will probably hold on to that title till a credible opponent can find him. I knew exactly where this was going. Say the least. Why did QT Marshall get a title shot at the all-athletic championship? What's up with that?
Orange Cassidy's like, whatever, right? You want this? Okay, I'll fight you. That's Orange Cassidy's MO as champion.
I love his MO as champion, but QT? Really? I was thinking of I don't know. Maybe nothing comes to mind. Maybe QT was the perfect one.
Hey, he's quality television. He's quality television wrestling. That's QT Marshall. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the matches. Of course, we had Lumberjacks, including but not limited to All You Go With Page, the Best Friends, the Varsity Athletes, Private Party, and the Factory. And again, with QT, you get a competitive counter wrestling match for what he's worth, despite the fact the crowd hates him. And can you blame him? Of course, QT got a lot of offense in, some near falls on Cassidy with all the shenanigans assisted by the heels. Because again, Lumberjacks don't do their job as a whole. The heels
Nope.
always beat down the freaking face. And one particular heel almost cost Orange the title. It won Kip Sabian, who literally looked at Orange Cassidy and threw him off. The QT caught him with the freaking cutter, diamond cutter. Bang! But near fall still was not enough, as Matt Hardy refused to hit Orange Cassidy at one point, encouraged by Ethan Page, who sent him to the back. And then we looked for even pile driver, but Danhausen. He looked to, of course, curse QT, and still was not enough, as again, melee ensued, but somehow Precious Fuse Orange Cassidy was able to hit the orange punch and beach break follow up and escape, literally escape the melee with the AEW All Elite Championship as he immediately goes out to fight with Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy, I am all for this freaking program. I don't know about you.
I'm all in for it. Wouldn't this be Kip's second time going after the All Athletic Championship?
It would be.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
And,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Again, underrated.
Go ahead.
Overrated.
Yep. Interesting clash of styles too between both of them.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like when you know, freaking Kip Sabian is a freaking masochist for, okay, hit me harder. Orange Cassidy's like, oh, this is gonna be something different, and I would not count Penelope Ford not being too far behind. I wonder if this could be used to bring Chris Statlander back on screen, considering how Chris Statlander and Ford met with Chris returned last time. Just saying. Either way, yeah, this is a lumberjack match. Lumberjack matches, they are what they are. They're a cluster bleep of people just freaking meleeing on the outside, taken away from the actual match itself. And as far as QT goes, QT is QT. That's his wrestling. Again, underrated, 17 years, respect the man's game and experience. Also his cumulative status in AEW backstage. But what's also interesting here is another presence let themselves be known, and Rose. House of Black took everybody freaking out. Every single person dropped Ortiz with the Dante's Inferno, and then they hit Serpentico. They even took out your boy, Brandon Cutler, as Julia Hart freaking acquired the Elite Cutler cam. And via the extended segment on YouTube, we saw the House of Black just make their way once everybody was wiped out. As it seems, again, they are out for war against everybody in all Elite Wrestling.
But it seems like they're going for one in particular, the Elite, because Malachi said it's nothing personal with you, Cutler. It's about a certain, the bigger the problem is how he put it, is how I could interpret it that. So he's going after Omega and the Bucks. So basically, while the Death Triangle and the Elite are feuding in the best of 7, I'm pretty sure the House of Black will be waiting for those trios titles pretty soon.
I was expecting them to rise at the pay-per-view, so I'm completely with you. Again, I was in Cleveland in August when I saw Death Triangle get screwed by the Redeemer, Miro, and we all saw what that learned to. And they were my sleeper picks to win the whole daggum thing after I saw the United Empire fall short to Death Triangle. That is the best match I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
That was so damn good. But again, that being said, actually no, it was United Empire that beat Death Triangle. Excuse me, botch. Because Kip Sabian made his presence be known that day. That's when he truly embraced the change. That being said, again, stuff to come. We're still trying to figure out the trios division. That's a whole nother kettle of fish conversation for another day. But that being said, again, this Rampage was definitely better than the one on Black Friday, even in its normal time slot. Again, Danny Moe deserves better, in my opinion. That was just harsh by Athena. Jeez. Get paid by the second, girl. Good grief. And overall, Darby Allin, he's got clarity. I really am kind of rooting for him, if I'm perfectly honest with you. And again, the AEW All-Atlantic Championship, despite the national ramifications and geographical disputes, Orange Cassidy has been one of the most unique champions I've ever seen in wrestling, and it's been highly entertaining, engaging, and competitive. He's done in singles, he's done in triple threat, and now it looks like he's going to have a program with Kip Sabian. So I'm curious to see how far this reign does go. He's got a hell of a start.
He has, and I was hoping before even the All Athletic Championship came into play that OC would be a champion, but a TNT champion. But All Athletic champion sounds even better.
It gives more, I feel like, dynamic opportunities and surprises. Dude, we saw this guy freaking defend this gold against Katsuyori Shibata.
Yeah, but we also seen that man face Royal Ospreay for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door.
On a sleeper pay of the year, if not sleeper match of the year. My gosh, I still go back and rewatch that.
Same. With Shibata coming in, I still do watch that from time to time.
Yeah, no kidding. Despite the circumstances that surrounded that show going in, they pulled it off. And I hope that's even bigger and better next year.
Give me Okada and Omega at Forbidden Door, please. We need to see
No,
that
match.
Hey.
The fact that Omega and Okada are going to be in the same building January 4th, calm down, dude. Calm down.
Just saying, let the seeds be planted.
Fair enough. But that being said, that catches up right now on All Things All Elite Wrestling as AEW Dark Elevations ahead of us. We got AEW Dark, and of course, this week is the Go Home show. Prior to Winter is Coming, we will see who bears the ring now for the next year. And of course, AEW Rampage and Ring of Honor Final Battle. It's going to be a busy week for everybody in and out of All Elite Wrestling as always. But King, it's been once again a highly engaging and enlightening conversation as always with you. I feel like more often, again, while we use this platform for the first time, maybe we'll once again re-engage during special times in AEW when it comes to preview and review too. But this was fun, man. Anything you want to play up, where can we find you? And any last thoughts you have?
Man, we do have a busy week with Dark Elevation and then Dark and then Dynamite and then Rampage and then Ring of Honor Final Battle. This is going to be one busy week for AEW Ring of Honor fans worldwide. It's always a pleasure to be back with you, brothers. I know it's been a long 2 months since I've been back with you on this YouTube platform, but it feels so good being back. Not sure it's gonna be a one-time. Well, it could be. I know it's gonna be a one-time thing, maybe a consistent thing. Who knows? We'll just have to see what my mental state of mind. As you know, I've taken a step back from anything YouTube related, just to ease my mind and do other things. But also, I haven't said this in a long time. Follow me on Twitter at AMT Roman numeral 23 number 23. Follow me on Instagram at AMT Roman number 23.23 on Instagram.
As simple as that. I always appreciate you, man. Like I tell you, protect your mentality. If that's the way you're doing it, I don't blame you. Again, content creation is at your own whim. You owe yourself to nobody, but just be happy in what you do and be happy in professional wrestling. And if tonight definitely didn't personify that for a bunch of people with our open heart conversation and literally the last 2 weeks of everything all elite content, because I'm crazy, some people would say, but I'm also simple. I think people get the gist. I hope they do. And people, if you do want to know more about me, know this. I am just a simple man, but also a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! But I digress. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And in Foster1916 for all things wrestling. Shout out, of course, King, to our entire AEW family that we first established on the Twitter, but have our own private forums too across Facebook and other means as well. Shout out to all the content creators, including but not limited to Indigo, Eric, Cindy, and everyone else that has done something entertaining, including King, including Kid Bandit, including Casey, including James Hebert, who is behind in the green room. God bless him in this platform too. Again, it's going to be a simple week. I have a Simply Predicted panel that will be live on my Simple YouTube channel, either Thursday or Friday. Time still yet to be determined, so stay tuned for more of that on my community posts. And of course, it will be scheduled, so you can always set a reminder for that too. Stay tuned for FTW Productions. Again, they're going to have watch-alongs next week for Winter is Coming. Not sure they're going to have watch-alongs this week. You have to check with that with James Hebert. Stay tuned for this man's takes on wisdom with women. And also,
I can confirm there will not be watch-alongs this week.
Facebook, dude. What the hell?
Yeah.
You're trying to write a book better than Steve Harvey? That
Hello.
Also, stay tuned for the AEW crew. I don't know if we will do it, but I'm going to have posts in our private group, as you know, King. But we might do
Hey,
end of the year.
well, real quick before you finish up, no watch-alongs this week. Watch parties next week, though, for Winter is Coming.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, you good, brother. Again, James Hebert, God bless him. Also, folks, stay tuned. ATW and Prop 2, it's been on definite hiatus as we all take care of our mentality and do stuff, but maybe, just maybe, there will be some sort of end of the year ATW approved and appreciate special regarding wrestling in 2022. That's still yet to be set up among the family and maybe external parties like the lovely Cara Taro, who last I checked I know is doing very well. She was playing Sonic Frontiers, the Tales to My Sonic. God bless that great, entertaining, creative friend and fan. And again, stay tuned for continued coverage of Ring of Honor, Final Battle, and NXT Deadline on the Jeff Beach Network Multiverse Media, where me, James Hebert, and the Renegade JJ Williams will bring you all day, play-by-play, live reactions and commentary for both shows that will be back-to-back and overlapping, and there will be a post of a Might Night after that. Lord help my voice, I'm going to need a Mountain Dew. But as always, I'd like to conclude, there are no winners, no losers, no betters. They're just fans with opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, and treasure your family, especially around the holidays. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that. With that being said, on behalf of AEW Productions, on behalf of King, on behalf of James Hebert, on behalf of anybody who's been a fan, thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend. Hit the bell to know when the next video goes live or on demand on any of the FTW Productions YouTube channels and video content creating platforms, Twitch and beyond. Hit the subscribe button though right here. Become a follower, fan, and friend. Follow WYW Productions. Follow all the creative content here among the entire W Productions family that constantly seems to grow every month. Again, James Hebert, congratulations on the brainchild that you lead and create. But with that being said, I don't really have much more to say. Like I said, as far as continue all the content, I keep it simple. I might do this again, not on a weekly basis. We'll see how we feel after Winter is Coming. We'll see how we feel towards the Bash, New Year's Smash. But I will at least promise this. It started at Revolution. It might be reborn at AEW Revolution. The ATW view predicting pay-per-view specials. We shall see. But again, that has to wait to be known till 2023. Until next time, as we now leave you, make a positive impact in life. And have a good night. King, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Always, my brother.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.